spicy standard tonight. Not necessarily going to be the most competitive decks, but more just kind of fun with the new M19 core set that's coming out in the coming weeks.
Standard out of the fish tank.
Yeah. Pretty appropriate considering all facts with fish analogies and magic. So, we're going to be starting off with mono red goblins versus green red monsters. It's decks we've seen before, but they're going to have a couple different changes to them, slightly different than what we may or may not be used to. And I think we're going to start by just looking at the green red deck.
Sure. Here we're going to see just kind of what you anticipate, except looking at the older green red monsters, they were a lot heavier on the red than they were actually on the green, utilizing a lot of the power of the Explore cards alongside cards like Glorybringer and Rekindling Phoenix.
Yes.
Here, instead, we see a heavier green focus and a dinosaur sub-theme here, kind of, using cards like the Ripjaw Raptor, Regisaur Alpha, Galta, and then some just large, powerful threats with a tiny bit of an energy sub-thing going on.
Now, the one main addition we get from the new set would be Vivian Reed, obviously.
Take a look at her.
Yeah.
All I know is that this card has minus for... it minuses to naturalize, and that's about all I know about this card. So here we're going to go ahead and see Vivian Reed. We have a 5-mana Planeswalker starting at 5. +1, look at the top 4 cards, reveal a creature or land from among them and put it in your hand. So it plays kind of an adventurous impulse when it comes down. It digs 1 card deeper.
Yep.
-3, destroy target artifact, creature, or artifact, enchantment, or creature with flying. We're starting to see that a lot on those naturalized style effects that they also hate flyers.
Yeah.
Because that's apparently also unnatural.
it's what mono green does. It's not good enough just to destroy artifact or enchantments. You gotta destroy those flying creatures. Just swap them out there. Just flag.
And then one thing that too many players gravitate too quickly towards when they see a powerful Planeswalker like this is they look immediately at that -8 bar. And while the -8 bar is rather powerful, I don't anticipate to really ever see it resolve in a game that wasn't already going to win.
Yeah, and the fact that you're going to be upticking for 4 turns in a deck like this, it just feels unlikely that you're ever going to ultimate it, but it is nice that it does have a good ultimate.
Ultimate, very, very powerful. And then moving from here over to the mono-red side of things.
Transition.
We're going to see a giant stack of mountains and a couple scavenger grounds, along with plenty of assorted goblins. A large amount of new ones here showing up.
Yep. All right, so let's just kind of run through all of the new goblins. We're going to start with the Goblin Instigator. Now,
not Goblin War Marshal.
Yes, it's just worse Goblin War Marshal. It's 2 mana 1/1. Then when enters the battlefield, you create another 1/1 red goblin token. It's just 2 goblins for 2 mana.
It gets to increase your going wide a little bit. It makes your Skirt Prospector type effect potentially more powerful, although I'm not really that impressed by the card in general in this type of deck.
Yes.
Moving on from the Instigator, we're going to go ahead and pull
up the Dark Dweller Oracle.
Which is an interesting card as well. Pay 1, you get to sacrifice any creature you control to exile the top card of your library. You may play it till the end of turn. The red style of card draw, you kind of get the ability to potentially play a more value-oriented game in the games that you need to, which might be something that you need to do a decent amount of the time, but not common enough that I think it's all that powerful. It's a weird card. I'm interested to see how it works, but otherwise we're going to be able to see that. Other than that, new cards that we see in the deck are also cards that we just haven't really been playing a lot with in the standard format, like Goblin War Chief. We're all relatively familiar with that card. 3 mana, 2/2 Lord, your other goblins gain haste, and they all cost 1 less, so you're going to make these Dark Dweller Oracles, Goblin Instigators more powerful. Also, we have the Volley Veteran is one of the other new cards in here.
Volley Veteran, I'm going to go and pull that up.
Another unique card that's kind of emulating another old goblin. 3 mana, 4/2 ETB, deal damage to a creature an opponent controls equal to your goblin count. That Gem Palm Incinerator effect, no need to cycle. Gem Palm Incinerator, obviously a much more powerful card, replacing itself with a card instead of just a kind of dopey 4/2 body, and also being uncounterable, effectively.
Yes.
But other than that, the last card that's new here is the Trash Man himself, Goblin Trashmaster.
And we're going to go pull that up as well. Sorry, I'm getting used to all this.
Oh, you're fine.
Right. So 4 mana for a Goblin Lord that also has the ability to nuke artifacts with your redundant goblins.
This is the card that people think might show up in at least sideboards of some
Yes.
Eternal decks. This is a powerful effect to have on a Lord in certain matchups. I could see, like, say, maybe the 8-whack Goblin Sly potentially sideboarding one copy of this in, like, the Biforce or the other card slots.
Yes.
I could see this card playing in Legacy if Legacy Goblins is powerful enough now that Deathrite Shaman is gone.
Yeah, and there have been some results put up with Goblins post Deathrite Shaman on MTGO offense, so there is a possibility that starts to come up more often. But
all right, but that looks like everything that we need to talk about that. Let's go ahead and get down to our games. It looks like our player is about to start, and we'll go ahead and give them the go-ahead. Y'all are ready to start whenever you are.
I'm changing the names right now, because that's probably not correct. I'm not positive, but... hello? Okay.
All right. Getting used to the stream setup, having us run it is the first time here, but yeah. There we go. We see both players apparently playing green-red monsters.
Why did it
Even
do
though Justin's
that?
on goblins.
No. No.
All right, well, the game's already going ahead and starting. We see a turn one, is that Fanatical Firebrand is the name of the card? Yeah. Going ahead and putting Jake down to 19, and then Jake just not having anything to do on turn one, followed by 2 Skirk Prospectors by Justin.
Yep.
Already pretty low on resources, and Jake's just going to immediately pretty much cause a roadblock with this Voltaic Brawler
Yeah,
here.
as it turns out, 3-2 is pretty good at blocking a bunch of 1-1s. Now, hopefully Justin has something else to follow up these 1-1s further down the road, like a Lord or something, because right now they're not doing a whole lot.
Notably, though, Jake's hand is another Voltaic Brawler and then lands. So while he has the ability to potentially start brick walling here, he has not a lot, but Justin also is on 2 more lands in the hand. So a lot of nothing going to go ahead and happen between the two players here to start. Energy gain for Jake, putting him up to 3, and I think he just picked up another Aether Hub for the turn. So there's another Brawler, going to pull him up to 5 energy.
Yep, and now Jake's just going to pass it back. He's going to hold back his creatures and going to kind of start a little bit of a stalled board position between the two players.
Yep. We see Justin at least draw a spell here. And, yeah, it's kind of amusing seeing all of the tiny proxies.
Yeah, so Justin, occasionally we do use proxies on stream. And usually when we do, they're higher quality, but in this case, Justin may have messed up on the sizing of his proxies just a little bit.
He didn't get the memo.
He didn't get the memo.
Both the Prospectors going to get blocked by the assorted Voltaic Brawlers. You're probably just going to see them both down. Fanatical Firebrand going to jump in to help one of the Prospectors kill a Brawler. So board is left with Jake in a strong advantage, but if Justin here has something good to follow up, which he does not...
I mean, Justin just kind of spent his turn 3-for-1ing himself.
But Jake draws a Llanowar Elves.
I mean, yeah, I think that's fine at this point. Like, he has more going on than Justin does.
Oh, absolutely. I think Justin's leftover is a Skirk Prospector, because I know he drew a spell, and it's the only spell that he wanted. Oh, it's Lightning Strike. And Lightning Strike is going to go ahead and take care of the Voltaic Brawler after an attack, and they refuse to pay any energy into it. Llanowar is going to come down and back over to Justin. Let's see if we get some actual action. I think it was just another Lightning Strike.
I mean, it's a removal spell, I guess.
Kills the Llanowar Elves.
He's just going to blow that right now. Now, from the side of looking at this as they're both just in a top deck war right now, I think that Jake is favored just because he has more top end, whereas Justin's deck is a lot lower curve.
Oh, absolutely. And so that would be your answer to the question on who has the advantage bar.
Yes. Advantage bar. So the advantage bar is slightly at Jake's side, but if we're being honest here, this game's kind of just completely stalled.
Jake has drawn another land. I know he's sitting on Forest Mountain and a Blossoming Defense, while Justin here is holding a card in hand. But he picked up a spell. But there is land number 7 for Justin.
Yep.
And that looks like it's going to go ahead and cast a Dark Dweller Oracle. No. All right, so that has the ability to potentially draw into something better, but I think the 2/2 might just be good enough right now.
I mean,
another land for Jake.
Jeez. So I think that's one of the better goblins Justin could have right now, aside from, of course, Siege Gang Commander.
Siege Gang Commander would even be even more fantastic here now, because he can start turning those 1/1 goblin tokens into other cards using the Dark Dweller
for
Oracle.
sure. But Siege Gang Commander in general is just going to be really good from this type of position.
Absolutely. Here's 3 mana. There is the Chain Whirler looking to take down that Llanowar Elves. Is Jake going to throw a Blossoming Defense to keep it alive?
I mean, so if he uses the Blossoming Defense, it lets him keep one of his creatures and prevent 2 damage this turn. So it might be worth it.
Well, so we probably also just saw the advantage bar go from that slight orange one way to like full orange the other way.
Yeah, I mean, it could certainly change back, but right now, Justin's definitely looking to be in a good position. But to be fair, right now, Jake's drawn mostly hot air.
I know where I was going to hit the bin, and 2 damage is going to come across, dropping Jake down to 13. Jake picks up a card. Let's see if it's a card that's actually going to have an effect on this game. Picks up a Ripjaw Raptor. That is definitely that.
Yep, that's a really good card, and since he has protection for it, it does seem like it's going to do a lot of work this game.
I would like to just mention also that a card like Ripjaw Raptor seems like, if it has a home, is a very powerful card to play in Goblin Chainwhirler's world.
Oh, yeah, because the fact that if your opponent plays the Chainwhirler and they don't have a Soul Scar Mage, you're going to draw a card is just such a good reason for them not to, or a way to punish them more so, because they're still going to cast it most likely.
Oh, absolutely. You see attack here for 5. Ripjaw Raptor going to go in front of the Chainwhirler. And the Dark Dweller Oracle means that Jake isn't going to get a draw card off of this, but he's going to get rid of a card from Justin's side. I would have liked to see the Dark Dweller Oracle be the one that was blocked there.
Yeah, I think that would have been a little bit better to shut off the card advantage engine from Justin's side. But I think Jake was more focusing on just life totals than anything else.
And now we just see Jake actually drawing real cards. And as you said, when we're in this parity situation, Jake's cards are going to, on average, be more impactful to the board. Yeah. Even his 2-drops are just 2/2s in the face of some of the 1/1s that Justin's going to have.
Yeah, Justin was able to draw 2 cards last turn, and he drew 2 non-lands, but they're both 1/1s, whereas Jake drew 2 cards, and it's a 4/5 with additional effects, and a 3/4 with additional effects.
There is the Goblin Trashmaster looking to grow the board, but even with the added bonus from the Goblin Trashmaster, everything in play on Justin's side is not sizable enough to rumble with the dinosaurs.
Yep. And I doubt Justin's in the business of trying to use his Goblin Monkeys to shoot down that Ripjaw Raptor.
I would be rather surprised. Another mountain there for Justin. I'm going to assume that we're going to see these Fanatical Firebrands turn into other cards.
Yeah, he needs to do something with those. He's not particularly under the biggest clock, but at the same time, he does have to worry about Jake drawing into any of the bigger threats he could have.
And this is where I kind of think that this build of this deck might lose some points to comparison to the builds of red-green monsters that played more on the red-heavy, where a card like Rekindling Phoenix or a card like Glorybringer would just absolutely start taking this game over.
Oh, yeah. Glorybringer would be an absolutely disgusting card.
Well, there's Chainwhirler.
All right, so Justin looks like he's going to throw it down. Jake's going to get to draw a card.
Yeah. That is powerful for Jake. He just picked up another Hinterland Harbor, though, I think. So that's good for Justin's side of things. I would suggest not throwing anything into the Dark Dweller Oracle here this turn because of the fact that we can hit cards we can't cast.
Yeah, I agree.
There's another Ripjaw Raptor. That means one of these probably starts to get turning.
Now, this second Ripjaw Raptor means that Justin is pretty much, he never wants to cast another Chainwhirler. Like, 1 is fine, but if you're letting your opponent draw 2 cards, it's not great.
I think the card he might have picked up there was the... Oh, okay, it's the Mogwar Marshal. I was unsure if it was that or the Veteran.
Yeah. Now, Justin is starting to go quite wide here. He does have 6 creatures, and Jake is at 10 life.
I'm kind of surprised to see him throwing stuff into the Dark Dwellers right now just because of that fact. With a Lord effect, the more wide we go, the better that we have a chance to go ahead and get this game out of the way.
Yeah, though it appears that Justin thinks he can do better than the a 2/2 effectively with the Lord in play.
He did turn it into another Dark Dwellers, which is a more powerful card in that situation.
Yeah.
We're seeing Justin here going kind of contemplating over the turn. Again, I wouldn't use Dark Dweller when we don't have access to 5 mana.
Yeah.
Just because of cards like Skirt Prospector being some of the more powerful things that we could potentially do.
Well, yeah, and especially if you go down to only 2 mana, that cuts off a lot of cards you could possibly cast.
All right, we're attacking with a 4/4 Goblin Chainwhirler here. So a Fanatical Firebrand here sacrifices itself to deal the damage to the Ripjaw Raptor. Jake will get to draw a card, and the Chainwhirler will potentially be able to finish it off, but we know that Jake has access to the Blossoming Defense in hand, and that's just going to completely ruin this play here.
Yep, and because Justin had to do it in that order, that means that Jake can draw 2 cards.
Well, he's only going to get 1 because
he can sacrifice it, yes.
Chainwhirler's going to get sacrificed to the Dark Dweller Oracles here, but now we just see Justin's board go from an actual position to practically nothing. And Jake actually doesn't get to draw any cards because the Hexproof removes the damage.
Yeah.
I actually don't like the ordering that Jake
No,
did
you
that.
should have let it take the 1 damage and then given it +2/+2, and I thought that's what he was going to do.
I think that's an easy misplay for someone to make.
It's an easy misplay. It's one of those weird like timing things that come up a lot in Magic.
All right, so we see the Goblin token getting turned into a mountain. Not quite what I think Justin might have wanted there.
No, he certainly wants to find some type of action. He would certainly kill for a Siege King commander right now, or even another. Is the Lord legendary? No, it's not.
No.
Even another Lord.
Yeah. There are a lot of very powerful cards that he could be drawing in this situation, but he's just falling behind on the board as Jake puts another reasonably sized creature in play, which is completely blanks Justin's side.
Yeah. Jake's just kind of putting like these very medium level creatures in play, and he's just kind of taking the board with them.
And now we get to start attacking with Ripjaw Raptor, and that's going to put real pressure on Justin, because while it is just a 5-turn clock, he has access to all these creatures, and there will eventually be a turn where Jake just gets to turn his whole board sideways, and Justin has to put everything under the bus.
Now,
we're going to block?
Yeah, he's going to go for double block here, because in theory he only loses one of his 2 goblins. But the concern he does have to worry about here is if Jake has another Blossoming Defense, I think he loses the game because of that block. But
oh yeah, but Jake here just going to go ahead and pick up a card, gets a Servant in the Conduit, going himself up to 10 energy.
That's a large amount of energy. He doesn't have a ton to spend on right now because he doesn't really need that mana.
Okay.
Not on the action of pumping that.
There is the Goblin Instigator, going to go ahead and give Justin access to a little bit of card advantage. There is the Volley Veteran. Going to go ahead and throw...
We're learning some things.
4 points of damage to the other side of the board. So as this... Volley Veteran, 4 mana, 4/2. As it comes into play, you deal damage equal to the number of goblins you control to a creature an opponent controls. So I anticipate this is going to shoot down. I actually would have preferred it to shoot down the Thrashing Brontodon there, but...
Yeah, shoot down one of the more reasonably sized creatures, but... He ends up going for the 3/2 for...
There is another Blossoming Defense drawn by Jake, so he has access to go ahead and put his opponent into another awkward situation, but going to go ahead and pass up on that for now. Draws another mountain from Justin.
Now, so with Jake playing it really cautiously here, this does give Justin the opportunity to kind of try to chain through his deck with his card advantage engine and see if he can kind of make his board a little bit better than it currently is.
Jake is not on Whirler Virtuoso. His deck is primarily just a mono-green deck, splashing red for a couple cards, along with blue for a playset of Sideboard Negates is its only actual part in the deck. So while Whirler Virtuoso will potentially be a very powerful card for him to be on from at least this situation, it's not something that we're going to see from him.
Yeah.
You see an attack with 2 creatures here, and we're going to see another Blossoming Defense keeping a Ripjaw Raptor alive. But now we see...
We see a Lord, and we see another one of the Dark Dweller. Is it? Yes.
I believe it was another Dark Dweller, yes. So we see another Trash Master come down, going to grow all his goblins again, and another Dark Dweller Oracle. So I believe every creature on Justin's side of the board is now 4/4.
Yes. And now this means that he's starting to actually put up a board that's comparable to Jake's side, and is actually even better right now.
There is the Regisaur Alpha going to go ahead and cause 2 bodies, one a 4/4, the other a 3/3. It's going to definitely cause a little bit of a hiccup in that boards becoming a little more at parity discussion.
Yeah. Now, that was certainly one of the better cards that Jake could draw there, putting 2 relevant bodies in play, and has additional effects in later turns.
And just one of the major things is, like, everything that Jake is doing is surpassing what Justin is doing, and Justin has drawn like an extra like 8 to 9 cards this game.
Right now, they're kind of building a position though where their creature's going to be about the equal size, and I feel like whoever tries to get in combat first is probably going to be the one that ends up losing here, or Justin because he can't draw anything.
Oh, Justin's also just turning 4/4s into lands.
Yeah, I think that's a little aggressive.
Oh, that's the last Dark Dweller that he has access to, and that's just turning into a Firebrand.
He just turned 2 4/4s into a mountain and a 3/3.
Sure did.
It seems suboptimal.
Definitely not what he wants to be doing here, and Jake's just taking advantage of the fact that Justin's plays are just falling behind. Both of them being on that early negative advantage parity by having access to effectively nothing, and they've moved into both players having roughly the same amount of lands, and the player playing mountains does not want that.
Yeah. Right now, Justin would be a lot happier if he had 5 lands, maybe a little bit more than that, considering how late in the game it is, but he certainly doesn't want however many lands he has in play now.
Justin would be happy if he had his sideboard Banefires.
Yes, he would be.
But yeah, here comes an attack across for 7. I'm going to assume Justin should just be taking this, but it looks like we're blocking. Are we going for another double block?
I'd be a little curious.
A double block isn't even... Okay, no. So a double block at least doesn't 2-for-1 yourself.
No, a double block does not 2-for-1 yourself. And it is safe from if you're... No, it's not safe from your opponent has blossoming defense. So.
Oh, no. Nothing is ever going to be safe for a blossoming defense anymore. Damage going to go across to Jake. Jake going to go ahead and knock Justin down to 15. Why... Jake accidentally picked a card up. But I see another creature in hand from Jake, it looks like. Or potentially a land. Yep, there is a Steel Leaf Champion.
That's a pretty good card right now. Well, in general, it's a 5-4.
Just another giant creature that he can play. Pass back to Justin. What does Justin draw? CJ Commander. He finally decides to show up. And that is very powerful here, as it's going to make a 4-4 and 3 3/3s.
Yep, certainly giving him a little bit of a better board here. And
do we only have 2 Goblin tokens?
We should definitely have more Goblin. We have at least like 30 Goblin tokens.
Are we unsure about how many Goblin tokens CJ Commander makes?
I don't know. Either way, he has 3 Goblins.
It is access to game over this turn and next, because he will be able to do a total of 10 damage using CJ Commander.
Yep. So Jake's going to have to figure out a way to somehow kill Justin from 15 life here, or to answer that Siege King Commander.
Where's the 3rd Goblin?
Okay, so he had the 3rd Goblin, he just didn't know how his card worked. Neat.
How do you not know how Siege Gang Commander resolves?
I don't know, man.
2 mana there. There is Galta, and I think that pretty much turns the game from one player potentially having game to maybe the other one.
Well, that is a 12-12 trample.
And it has haste.
And it has haste.
I think if Jake attacks with all... So... Okay, an attack with all actually isn't going to be lethal. So Jake has access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 creatures that can... that don't have to... Or so 6 creatures that can be blocked profitably. Galto being the creature that can't be blocked profitably.
Yes.
So assuming Justin's at 3, I believe he can go to 1 if he puts all his creatures in blocks, but that also kills all his creatures. But it will put Jake down to 5, but 5 isn't enough.
Yeah. No, I think that this is a position that we're going to see Justin most likely lose here from, but it all depends on if Jake decides... Jake should just attack all out here.
That's actually the special printing of all those cards, where they do have 2 porters. It's a really weird thing that they decided to do specifically with all the cards in this Goblin deck.
All right, so I'll give the explanation one more time. So occasionally, and this happens more with Standard than it does with other formats.
Which is hilarious.
Yes. We will use proxies for our stream. Usually they're higher quality proxies that you can not even really tell the difference between on stream. But Justin here forgot how to print proxies.
So this attack forces at least 1 chump block, but if Justin plays at least correctly here, he should be able to win. So each of the Goblin tokens get to block each of the non-Galta creatures. 2 of the Goblin tokens get thrown at Jake, and then the other one will die under the creature that it's blocking. Because Steel Leaf Champion says 2 or less, right? Not 3 or less. That's an important statement here, because all creatures on Justin's side of the board are at least 3s. So if only our Goblin tokens are what's going to go away, or actually it doesn't matter what goes away here as long as the Siege Gang Commander isn't it.
Yeah, he just needs to block the 3 creatures, and he can kill Jake pretty easily here.
Yep, so there's a block there, and block there. We're going to go ahead and sacrifice 2 Goblins to put Jake down to 5, and then the other 3 Goblins in place should be lethal. So we're going to see here if this resolves in the way that it should.
Now, alright, okay. So Justin is going to go and pop off the Goblins.
There's 1 shoot, there's 2. Oh, I keep forgetting that ability costs 2 to activate and not 3.
Yep. So he's able to deal 6 damage to Jake, put him down to 3, and then Jake's dead next turn.
Yep, Jake's dead on the untap. Justin goes down to 3 here. And then after a slogfest of mono red versus red green, we get game 1 over with Siege Gang Commander finally showing up and deciding that he wants to help Justin win the game.
Yep, Siege Gang Commander proving to be as good as we had been talking about it. And, like, even that late in the game, it was still just a really good card because this Goblin set can utilize it so well. So we're going to go and swap over to the sideboards, and we'll start with Jake's deck here, which is green-red monsters.
All right, so which side of the Mountains duel do you want to take?
I don't know how mountains work. I'll take this side.
All right.
All right, so you're playing against goblins. You're going to want your magma sprays just as an efficient removal spell. you're going to want your Aether Sphere Harvesters. They can gain you life, and they're an efficient blocker. Abrades are worth considering just because they're a 2-mana kill a creature spell, and then Struggle is one of the worst slow removal spells, but it's there, and possibly Sky Sovereign.
Okay, so potentially 7 cards. As of taking out, what do you think? 2 Vivian Reed?
Yeah, the Vivian Reeds can be cut here. They're not all that impressive. Actually, didn't realize the 1 Sky Sovereign main board, so probably don't need the second one. As far as the cards, I'm not sure if you want to be trying to go on the Voltaic Brawler plan. It seems a little not great here. Like, I don't think you're the aggressive deck, is what I'm trying to say.
No, I think moving more into the mid-range to pseudo-controlling deck here is probably correct, and that's the last 4 cuts that you need.
Yeah.
So 4 Voltaic Brawlers and 2 Vivian Reeds for 2 Abrade, 2 Aether Sphere Harvester, the Magma Spray, and the Struggle Survive seems completely reasonable to me.
Yeah. And so with that being done pretty quickly, we'll just go and swap on over to Goblins.
All right. And from this side, I'm going to anticipate to see the 2 Karizev's Expertise coming over. Active Freeze on effects always very powerful when your opponent is playing decks that involve monsters.
Yep.
5 power plus creatures are going to be good being taken from that. Other than that, I would also anticipate Fight with Fire, decent removal for your opponent, gets stuff out of the way. And also, I suppose, the Hazoret type effects. Just one thing that I remember from the standard format where Red-Green Monsters was actually a real deck.
Yeah.
It was the factor that Hazoret was one of the hardest cards for them to handle. The mono-red matchup was easy unless Hazoret was involved.
Yep.
So if the 2 Hazorets are in the deck for Justin, I think that's going to make it a little bit more of an actual challenge. So I would anticipate those 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 cards to come in, and I would anticipate Squee. Skirk Prospector is kind of a weak card overall, and I think it's one of the easiest cards to sideboard out in almost any situation. So the 4 Skirk Prospector, the 1 Squee, and I would honestly take 2 Lightning Strikes out.
All right. Now, I believe they're still sideboarding here, but who do you like here in games 2 and 3? Or do you think that's pretty even?
I think that the Green Red Monsters deck is going to gain the advantage in their sideboard games.
Yeah.
And that's just specifically because of the fact that a lot of their cards on average are going to be more powerful. Well, Justin, as we did see there, actually got to draw a reasonable amount of cards with the Dark Dweller Oracle when we got into a parity. That was because a parity happened.
Yep.
And the only reason this parity happened is because both players were on land-heavy hands with low action in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, I feel like that the game we saw isn't exactly indicative of how a regular game in this match goes.
Not at all.
I feel like a lot more early game presence matters a lot more in general, but when both players don't really have any gas or mid to end game, it doesn't really matter who takes the early game.
And let's be honest, Banefire's in there because Banefire's there. There's no reason Banefire's in the deck.
I mean, it's probably in there because Justin's just like, I don't know how to beat control decks, so I got
think
this.
it's Justin didn't build this deck.
I think it's because whoever built this deck was like, I can't beat control decks, so I'm going to bring this up.
He's doing the thing like, my opponent's going to settle the wreckage me.
He's going to settle me, and then I'm going to settle him. Oh, man. But, yeah, we can go and transition over to that. They're still shuffling, but we can look at those sweet Nidog sleeves from Justin's side.
So, while we are playing the decks that are more on the enjoyable side for this week, as far as Core 19 goes for Standard, what do you think it's going to have an effect on this format, and in what manner?
All right, so I think that it's going to have a minimal effect on the format in the way that I don't think it's going to necessarily create new archetypes or destroy old archetypes, but it certainly does give good fuel to certain decks. And contrary to my previous statement, this set does give you a little bit more fuel to possibly build a Goblins deck. I'm not sure if it's viable, but it's there. You have the tools for it. People are going to play it.
I think if there is one, I think it is that weird Goblins Godfarrow's Gift deck that was showing up.
Yeah, that's a deck that could certainly start showing up again. Aside from that, we get some neat tools for different decks. The big one for me is the new Esper Dragon. Feels like it's going to see some of my play and counter kill decks.
Better than Nezahal?
So that's a solid question. I don't actually know. So I think Nezahal is obviously an insane card advantage engine in the control mirror, and it's really hard to remove. But the flash on the dragon is pretty powerful as well.
I would absolutely agree. I'm also stated the Vivian Reed is probably a very powerful card for mono red or the mono green decks to have because they were playing Nissa just kind of as a value engine. I think Vivian Reed might be slightly better than Nissa. They both fill slightly different niches, but are very similar.
So I'm not entirely sold. I really just like Nissa as a card. I think she's one of the best green planeswalkers that's ever been printed for Standard and I mean, even for Legacy at this point.
I think that's interesting because of how long it took for her to actually get play.
Oh, yeah, she did pretty much nothing. She was really hyped early on, did nothing, and then all of a sudden everyone was just like, she's Legacy playable, she's Standard playable. Like, just her uptick provides a lot of relevant pressure, and her downtick is no slouch either.
Did you take a look at the league results that were posted yesterday, I believe?
I looked at them. I didn't, like, put any of the lists to memory, though.
Some of the lists that stood out where there were 3, I believe, different Nicol Bolas, the Ravager decks.
Yep.
And then there was a mono-white Monument deck that showed up playing 4 copies of Sun Chaser, or the anti-counters card.
Yeah, that card seems like it's really neat, and if there are any energy decks flowing around, it certainly hates them out. I'm a really big fan of Nicol Bolas. I think that he fits really well into the like kind of Grixis mid-rangey / tempo decks that we've seen floating around.
I also just like playing like Kevin Jones's blue-black mid-range deck from the Pro Tour, and then like putting 2 Nicol Bolas in it with some land alteration.
Like in the little bit of testing I've done in Standard, that card feels really strong. Anyways, I think they're about ready to start now. Do they know they can start whenever, or are they gonna be waiting on us?
Yeah, they're good to start whenever. So we see an opening hand from both players. 2 Forests hash up Oasis on one side, at least, and then both players happy, so I would assume some amount of lands and spells, but no 1-drop from Justin. And while that is kind of odd for the conceptually, if say Skirk Prostrator did come out,
then he only has 4
copies.
1-drops, and he has a lot of 2-drops, so I'd be more surprised if he doesn't do something on turn 2.
I see multiple Siege Gang commanders and Akarizev's expertise in the hand here, and he does not do anything on the second turn of the game. We see Jake here with a non-red land as his 3rd land, but luckily he has access to that Servant of the Conduit.
He has access to that Servant of the Conduit, or he has 4 mana here, and he has Ripjaw Raptor in hand as well.
I think he's going to play a second Servant of the Conduit and a Voltaic Brawler,
okay,
but
that
here
seems pretty
he
reasonable.
poorly tapped his lands, so he's going to have to take a damage.
Whoops. Oh well. You live and you learn.
Oh, my bad about that. Resplendent Angel. That is an interesting card from the new set that people are potentially thinking might show up somewhere.
Which one's the Resplendent Angel again?
Resplendent Angel is a 3-drop 3/3.
Oh, yeah. I know someone that was testing that on like Legacy, and it's weird. There's a lot to evaluate there.
It seems like a very powerful card on face. It just depends on if there is a deck that can play it. But, I mean, those green-white and Abzan Angels mid-rangey decks were showing up every once in a while, and I think that if you could put that card into Shalai and Lyra, that is a powerful sequence.
Yeah, and like the fact that it has actually good stats for its cost helps out a lot.
And here we see in the game Goblin Warchief, the first play from Justin, and Jake's board is already quite outclassing that.
Yeah, and now he is going to throw down a Thrashing Bronodon and just pass here, it looks like.
Justin looks like he picked up a Lightning Strike. There's a Scavenger Grounds as his land. He has access to the Veteran Volley in hand, but all that's going to kill is a Voltaic Brawler potentially. It's not even a guarantee kill here because of a card like Blossoming Defense.
Yeah, and we can see that Jake is holding that. Now, one thing
Oh, that's right. Yeah. Goblin Warchief has an effect.
Yes.
Going to go ahead and reduce the cost on the CGN Commander, and there is Warchief into CGN Commander, which is a powerful sequence, but 1/1s versus 2/2s situation.
Yeah, and right now, Jake can also just cast this Galta he just drew.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he has access to 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 power, so yeah, Galta is a 2-mana 12/12, and there is the very powerful Elder Dinosaur. I also have no clue what the card Prepare to Fight is.
Prepare to Fight is the, one second, I'll actually just pull it up, but it's the 3-mana instant that has, oh god, where's the mouse? Okay, I'm not used to the sensitivity Corey has his mouse on.
That is Struggle to Survive. Prepare to Fight is a card that somebody mentioned in the chat for Resplendent Angel.
Right. I'm gonna look that real quick.
Alright, and then from the game here, we just see Justin very quickly falling behind, but he does have access to Akarizev's expertise here, so he can threaten to do a large chunk of damage to his opponent.
Alright, so I'm going to pull up the...
There is Prepare to Fight. So, untapped target creature gets +2/+2 lifelink till end of turn, and then on the fight side target creature, you control fights target creature and opponent controls. Alright, so Resplendent Angel makes creatures when you've gained a certain amount of life?
Yes, when you've gained 5 life.
So this satisfies gain 5 life.
Yes.
Do you think there's anything there?
Not really. Like, it feels too cute if you don't have the Resplendent Archangel.
This potentially could be a reasonable 1 to 2 of in a deck.
Yeah, it could potentially be that. Against the red decks, it feels not bad.
Oh, yeah.
The life gain is pretty good.
Looks like a Goblin Trashmaster is what came down from Justin here. And making a quite sizable board. But Galta here is just going to go ahead and attack and threaten lethal on Justin. He has to throw something under the bus. I anticipate a Goblin token, but something does have to go here.
Now, if he just can be cast on a ladder for okay. So if he throws just a Goblin token, he does have to worry about some number of pump spells killing him here.
Are we seeing an entire squad? All right, so this is worth 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 at current block.
Okay, this is extremely risky, actually.
Yeah, because the Blossoming Defense just kills him. And you can't put the Trashmaster in front because that gets rid of actually everything, assuming that Jake assigns damage correctly.
Yeah. And no matter what he does, if Jake has a single removal spell, this is going to just completely blow him out.
Oh, yeah, no, this game is over if there's a Blossoming Defense here. And it looks like there are 2. There's the Blossoming Defense, and Justin, you should be shuffling and moving into Game 3.
Yeah. Don't think Justin can really win from here. In any chance he does have a winning is kind of shut down by the fact that Jake has another Blossoming Defense. Yep.
So in response to here, what Justin did is he went ahead and goes, I'm going to attempt to Lightning Strike the Galta. And the reason that he does that is because it means that his creatures do get to still trade with the Galta, assuming that combat resolves as it is. But Jake having the second Blossoming Defense breaks that up.
Yep, and that just kind of gives the game Jake. As it turns out, a 2-mana 12/12 Trample is a pretty solid Magic the Gathering card.
Absolutely. So we're going to be moving here into Game 3 and Justin being on the play. And that's just kind of what I was saying when we moved to our sideboard games, that usually in your aggro or your pseudo-aggro mirrors, the deck that is slightly bigger has the edge.
Yeah.
Your mono red versus white red during con standard. White red always had the edge because it went a little bit bigger.
Yep, just that little bit of additional end game makes it so when you have the early game board stalls, the deck that has the things to do to go over that is usually going to get it.
And then there's the weird conversation when eventually the aggro deck goes too big, and then the little kid deck gets to go under it again, as we saw in the finals of the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it's a really weird balancing act between going just slightly bigger and then going to the point that you become a little too sluggish and the opponent can just kind of burst you out.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and see Game 3 here. Opening hands for both players. Saw the Scavenger Ground in Justin's hand, which is definitely an awkward card to be playing alongside your Goblin Chain Whirlers, but...
I suppose he's just worried about graveyard effects and wants a little bit of utility in his hands.
I see triple Regisar Alpha, double Thrashing Bronzodon in Jake's hand. So that one's going to go away.
Yep. Jake taking a mulligan 6 here. He's going to be on the draw, so he will be able to get to the same amount of cards as Justin and have that scry. So it's not the end of the world for him. He's certainly not happy about it, though.
Oh, yeah, definitely. As far as this third game goes, Justin being on the play, I still just don't think gives him enough of an edge.
No, I think that... So he doesn't have a ton of ways to... Even though he's playing a Goblin deck, his deck is a little bit slower than most Goblin decks we've seen. As opposed to starting off on having a strong turn 1 Goblin to a strong turn 2 Goblin. You don't... All of your 1-drop Goblins that you have left now are just kind of 1/1s.
One of the major issues, though, with Goblins as a creature type, though, is that the creature type Goblin actually comes with a strong tax to it, I've regularly seen. Your creatures don't get to be extremely powerful a lot of the time unless they're at these higher mana costs.
Yeah, and so the thing is also, like, where I was saying with the 1-drops, your 2-drops also aren't that strong, and all of your kind of, like, better cards are in your 3-drop slot, at which point I don't really think you can beat Jake in the, like, 3 to 4-drop creature slot.
Oh, no, not at all. If I'm going to be honest, as far as standard goes, I'm not sure what deck this deck does beat at the 3 to 4 slot.
Not a ton.
Double Rootbound Crag to start from Jake here, so a little bit slower out of the gate for him. It's going to give Justin the ability to potentially capitalize if he has access to something powerful, but just an attack for 2.
Yep.
Do we have anything to follow up on 3? No, it looks like we do not.
Now, seems so weird with the to see a Goblin deck keep a hand and then not have anything to do on turn 1 or 3.
2 energy gain from Jake here with a Servant of the Conduit passing back over to Justin. Now on 4 mana here, if this is a Trash Master, but it looks like it's a Chandra Torch of Defiance. Going to go ahead and burn down that Servant of the Conduit, take care of a little bit of mana from Jake's side, and get another 2 damage across.
Yep. It lowers the amount of creatures that Jake has to brick wall Justin, and it does give him the ability to gain a little bit of additional damage, which is all the things he's looking for.
And importantly here, Jake looks like he does not have access to a 4th land, so the Servant of the Conduit hit actually mattering quite a lot.
Yep.
Luckily for Jake, I believe he does have access to a Blossoming Defense type effect here, so he can keep the Voltaic Brawler safe if he needs to. But other than that, his hand is full of a lot of zeros. Yep. There is the Goblin War Chief.
Yep, Goblin War Chief, not Chieftain.
And there's a Siege Gang Commander off of extra mana from Chandra.
Ooh, now that's that's real strong, and I think at this point, I don't think Jake can get back in this.
I definitely would agree with that. Jake having no copies of something like a Sweltering Suns in his sideboard, meaning that all of his interaction has to be at a 1-for-1 base. But Justin here just going to patiently play the game, pass back to Jake, and I don't think there's anything powerful he can do except for, okay, Steel Leaf Champion's not awful, but I believe Justin might be able to do something about that. If not, I mean, we have a decent amount of damage coming across.
Yeah, even if he can't deal with the Steel Leaf Champion straight away, he's not in a terrible position. If he wants to, he can just trade off his goblins to trade off 3 goblins to wipe the opponent's board here.
And that's definitely going to be a powerful thing, just because of the fact that he has access to all these dopey little 1/1s from the Assorted Tokens effects. There is 2 mana. That's going to be a Goblin Trash Master off of a Chandra Tick Up. Looks like we're paying 1/2 mini for that, but he's allowed to do that if he wants.
Yeah. He can have his mana as he pleases. Oh, nope.
Figured it out.
Figured the line. Alright. So
last card in hand looks like it might be Hazaret.
And right now he has a ton of power in play. And he can choose to shoot off one of the creatures now or just wait until post-combat.
I'm surprised to see that we're not just going to go ahead and shoot off one of the both of the creatures. Or one of them, rather.
Yeah.
Alright, there is the Goblin Squad coming in, and I don't really like Siege Gang Commander here attacking if we're not planning on killing creatures preemptively.
So, the attack with the Siege Gang Commander, he does have some amount of insurance for that. If Jake does put something in front of it, he can kill it, if that's what he wants to do.
But so what I actually kind of would like here from Jake, because he's not being threatened by lethal, or is he actually, sorry, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. Okay, so he does have to block multiple creatures. He can't just put, say, both creatures in front of the Siege Gang Commander and say, do your worst.
Yeah. And with this, he's going to be left taking 13 damage, putting himself down to 3. And if Justin wants to here, he can put him down to 1, but not quite kill him.
The attack with the Trash Master there is just also a very awkward thing, because attacking with the Lord is going to make it to where these cards are just going to get weaker over time.
Yep.
And the last card, okay, so it's the Goblin Chain Whirler is the last card in hand. So we're looking to see if there's a lethal.
He has lethal here, because he deals 2 damage, puts Jake down to 15. Then Jake takes a total of 13, goes down to 3. Goes down to 1, I mean.
There he takes 10, 11, 12, 13. Yep, going to go down to 1 after hitting 14. And so we're going to see Mono Red Goblins actually going to pick it up over Green Red Monsters. A little bit of a dopey hand there from Jake in his game 3, and a powerful one from the opponent there. Going to go ahead and take it down. And then we're going to move into round 2, which I'm actually going to see if... Can we trade real quick? I'm going to tag Kirby in here for at least one of the games.
Okay.
And be right back.
Okie dokie.
Andrew has a much bigger head than I do.
That is fair. Alright, so...
You can take that literally or not.
Whoa, coming in with the jabs. Alright, so we just saw the Mono Red Goblins list do its thing, so we're not going to really talk about that a ton. But we're going to pull up this deck that Connor has. It's entirely built, well, not entirely built, but it is a deck that is built to utilize the new dragon that has been printed in M19 in the form of, one second, I'm pulling it up, in the form of Arcadus the Strategist, which allows your walls to be aggressive, draws you cards, and is a decently sized body.
Basically, Connor is going all in on Arcades, because you see that he has a ton of defenders, His paths to victory is basically get this card out, one of the copies, ping somebody to death with your Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs, or animate lands with Nissa.
Yep.
That's basically it.
Now, I think that this deck does fall into being the cutest deck we're going to see tonight, in my opinion. But it is trying to show off possibly a neat card. Arcades is not necessarily a bad card, and it does offer you a pretty fair card advantage engine if your deck can properly utilize it.
Like, already, this deck is this card is a very popular commander. People are wanting to build a lot of wall decks. Previously, Doran was kind of the go-to for any type of wall decks. Plus, you had to add in other effects like the green enchantment, something assault.
Shoot.
Assault formation.
Assault formation, yes. The one-drop effect, which is basically Doran. Yeah, so originally he was the more popular one, but this card having more to it than just the aggressive side, that card advantage is not irrelevant. And the fact that you it takes away Defender also is neat.
So I really like the 2 Dust Dawn in the deck as well, because basically you get to board wipe everything. Unfortunately, it does hit Arcades, but it allows you to get back all your walls too.
Yes.
So wipe the board, slow them down, get back value.
It gets rid of 8 of the cards in your main board in the form of Golden Guardian and Arcades, the Strategist.
Okay. So I guess we're all ready to go. You guys are good to start whenever?
Oh, and I had the match counter set to the old match, and also I have to fix the round timer.
This week is Learning Week. Corey changed the setup a little bit to give us some more direct control. Also give him a much-needed break.
Yep. This way it makes it, in theory, once that things get a little more settled, it'll be more seamless from the commentator side.
All right. So we start off with Justin putting out a couple goblins, and Connor playing a wall, as expected.
Yep. This one being Gleaming Barrier, which is a 2-mana 0/4 with Defender, that when it dies, he gets a treasure token. I say that because I honestly do not expect many people to know that card.
It'd be nice if it drew a card, but we don't get Wall of Omens, especially at colorless.
Nope. We can build our own Wall of Omens, though, with our Arcades.
We can also just build another wall.
Yes. Doesn't.
Before you ask, no political commentary tonight.
No, I was not even thinking about that, actually. So I'm going to pull up the wall he just played, actually, just because I didn't feel like trying to describe all of it. And that is a Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs, which might not matter a ton considering how wide Justin has gone here.
Something to note, this has been eroded to be able to target planeswalkers
Yes.
in addition to players.
Anything that says to target player, it can now target planeswalkers.
All right. So Connor is going to be able to put down Arcades, start getting some card advantage, actually being able to deal with some of the goblins over there instead of, like, one of the problems you have with walls is you can block for days, but you're not actually getting rid of anything on the other side of the board.
Yeah.
You need a little bit of power, but now with Arcades, like, that's going to kind of change the game. He's going to be able to kill some of the things on Justin's side if Justin tries to go wide.
Yeah. Now, this board state that we're seeing right now kind of brings up my concern with this Goblins list. And the way that Justin had what I would call a fairly decent start. He was able to go pretty wide. He has a lot of creatures in play, and he has creatures that do have different effects. But Connor has 2 blockers of medium size, and Justin can't really effectively go into combat without losing a large amount of resources.
Now, the Dark Dwellers is going to help him not lose too many resources. He's going to be able to sack whatever gets blocked here. And hopefully, I guess, Impulse Draw, a replacement card that works out well for him.
Yep.
Okay. He chooses not to. It looks like he has something better he wants to play. And a Chain Whirler.
Now, I don't see a reason to just like I don't see a reason to not sacrifice them.
I think Justin miscalculated something here because he was gesturing that the wall was supposed to die, and I think he was not looking at his card as a 1/1 for some reason.
That or he was not realizing the stats on the wall. There was a mistake of some type
Yeah.
from his part.
All right. Connor's going to draw a card off his wall and get in for 3. I keep forgetting that thing has vigilance.
Yeah, it's actually a fairly okay card as it goes. Like, I think that the fact that Arcadis is so good and the fact that I can never pronounce its name goes a pretty long way.
All right. Justin's going to play a Squee, and as Connor pointed out, has a really cool interaction with Dark Dwellers. You're able to just sack the Squee, get your Impulse draw. When you have the mana again, cast a Squee, as he is, which he gets to do for 1 cheaper because of Goblin War Chief there.
Yep.
But he's not really making progress against Connor right now.
Yeah, I don't think that the Goblin deck is necessarily super excited to be going off of a card advantage engine that costs him 3 mana per loop.
Mm-hmm.
Now, Connor throwing a Golden Guardian in play. Now, do you know what that one does?
Oh, yes. It's a favorite of Connor's.
Okay.
It's a 4/4 defender, and you can pay 2 to fight your own creature.
Okay.
If it would die due to that ability, then you get to flip it over, and it's basically a free Ancient Tomb that makes 4/4s that don't have defender.
Okay. It's a neat card. And funnily enough, even though I think that Connor's deck is a lot more cute than Justin's, I think that Connor's going to be able to take this game. He just has too big of a board here, and Justin can't really do anything about it.
Mm-hmm. Now I'm curious, does Justin have anything in his sideboard that can deal with Arcadius? Like, does he have the 5 mana burn spell, Fight with Fire? He does have one copy.
One copy of Fight with Fire.
Mm.
He has some stuff in his sideboard here.
He also has Bane Fire, but
I mean,
that's
6
a lot
mana.
of mana. Yeah.
6 mana is not very optimal.
I was joking in chat earlier that just going to get out Skirk Prospector and a couple Siege Gang Commanders, and then just sack all of his goblins, tap out Bane Fire for 20.
That would be pretty sick.
That's how you beat Control.
I would cry.
Back in the day, I remember brewing up a Grixis deck the night before an IQ and actually win the IQ.
Okay.
My win con, Devil's Play for 11.
Okay.
Next turn, flashback Devil's Play you for 9.
Huh. Huh. That's a win con.
Yeah. I also hear Fireball was pretty good way back in the day.
Yeah,
especially when you had Channel.
Channel Fireball was kind of busted.
All right. So Connor's going to attack with his 4/4 and his 3/5 flyer.
Yep. And Justin here doesn't... Well, he does have one fairly profitable block here, but Connor's instead just going to go and fight his creature to flip them. Flip his wall.
Okay. Can we bring up Golden Guardian real quick?
Do you want the front side or the back side of it?
Front side, please.
Okay. Let's see.
Just kind of want to check something real quick on its ability.
All right.
Okay. So it doesn't have to die directly to that ability. You just have to resolve the ability and then have it die the same turn.
Yes. So he was able to, before damage, fight his dragon and then have the damage kill it, which flips over into the land side.
Mm-hmm. So, not really sure what Justin is going to do here.
I mean, I guess he's swinging in for 6.
Mm-hmm. Like, he really needs a Lord to get those Chain Whirlers to be able to do very much here.
Yeah. And right now, with Connor's blocks, he's effectively blocking with 2 4/4s. And Justin is going to attempt to lightning strike one of them, but Connor instead will be firing off a dive down to give one of his creatures +0/+3. And hexproof.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so Justin's going to sack the Chain Whirler real quick to Dark Dwellers. He's going to follow this up and destroy the wall with his little gobbo right there.
Yep. Alright, and Connor does get a treasure from that goblin dying.
Value.
It's some value, yes.
So I'm really curious how Connor's deck kind of works without Arcadis.
Yeah, I feel like if he didn't have the Arcadas in play, I don't know what he would be doing.
I think he would be on the losing side of this.
Yeah.
Justin would be able to go too wide, and Connor wouldn't be able to actually deal with anything on the board.
Yeah, and it is interesting playing a deck that relies heavily on one specific card and only has 4 ways of digging for it.
Mm.
Those type of decks can oftentimes just kind of lose themselves.
But Connor does have a few dive downs in his deck, as you can see right there, to be able to protect the queen.
Yeah. Justin's just thinking to himself, is this how my day is going? Am I losing this right now? Now, that being said, Connor is falling behind on the board, but he does have his land active now.
Yeah, he's going to be able to just start pumping out 4/4s every turn, which, like, once again, it's just going to be very hard for Justin to overcome.
Yeah. Right now, Justin's in a position that he's falling behind, going to start falling behind rather quickly, and he can't really do anything to get out of it, aside from just trying to commit more to the board.
Yeah.
Am I going to see a 4/4 golem put in play here? Unfortunately, we did not have any 4/4 golems, as that is, funnily enough, not a token that we had lying around.
Another Guardian. Connor gets to draw some more cards.
Yep.
And Connor has a spicy one of. Umezawa is a 1/3 that makes it so all your creatures with power or toughness 1 or less can't be blocked.
Yep, and with a large number of your creatures having 1 or less power, that is pretty effective.
Yep. And Justin is down to 1. I think this is pretty much over, unless Justin can dig into something.
That's
Land
probably
is
not what
not
he was
going to
looking
be it.
for. Gonna sacrifice this token, hope to find something here. Found a lightning strike that can kill the Umezawa, but doesn't really help him out with the dying problem, as he can't block this dragon.
Alright. So for Justin to get out of this, he's going to have to dig a little bit deeper. And actually hit some non-lands.
Yeah, hit some on lands. I think right now he's really hoping to find a second lightning strike here to maybe kill off the Arcadas, but he doesn't find that, and I think that he's just dead now.
Yep. And we're going to be moving on to game number 2 in just a moment.
Yep, and Justin's kind of thinking over his options here. Yep. All right. So Connor getting the game 1 there, and now we're going to be moving up to sideboards. Do you want to?
I'm going to morph back into Andrew real quick.
Okie dokie.
I was completely thinking about if Tetsuko was going to show up in that game while I was away.
Yes.
And I'm very happy that as I came back, I got to see it actually have an effect. I'm also was very excited to see that Golden Guardian actually has a backside.
Yeah. It was kind of an interesting game. Connor was able to win. He just kind of went super wide, and he was able to find his Dragon Engine and kind of shut off what the opponent was trying to do.
Alrighty, so moving into sideboard, since I'm already taking the mono red side, if you want to go ahead and take this pile and see what's going on here. What do you expect to come in? What do you expect to come out, and why? Why are there metallic? Oh, I guess we have a bunch of artifacts.
We
Okay.
have 4 artifacts. All right, so I'm just kind of just taking a look at the sideboard here. So you do have Ixalan's Binding.
Okay.
It's a removal spell. That's it. Gideon's Intervention is a card. You can bring it in. It's not exciting.
You looking at it, you have a lot of cards that I am not at all excited about.
Yeah, there's not honestly a ton that I want to bring in here. Unfortunately for Connor, I should say, and
I might turn the 2 Nisses into Ixalan's Bindings and then submit the rest.
do we even like dive downs in this matchup a ton? Like,
They protect your stupid dragon, which your deck doesn't work without it.
what? How does the mono red deck deal with their 3/5?
The volley dude.
The volley dude, sure, I guess.
All right, and then from the mono red side, because there's like nothing to talk about from Connor's side, I would anticipate Hazaret.
Hazaret feels not bad.
Hazaret gets through the stupid walls.
Fight with fire.
Fight with fire is probably fine because it kills exactly the dumb dragon.
And I feel like what I was talking with could be a little bit about, I don't know that Connor's deck does anything without the
Oh, no,
dragon.
absolutely not.
It's
It's a bunch of 0/4s.
You're playing 4, 8, 12 creature. Sorry, 16 creatures that do nothing without the dragon.
It's like if you're like the Doran deck in Commander and somebody like just nevermore's your Doran, you don't do anything.
Yeah, you just kind of sit there and you're like, wow, that was a neat game. So,
Other than that, I don't anticipate anything else really to come in here. You could potentially bring in Aether or Harvester effects because unless the dragon's in play, it flies over and flying does matter.
yeah.
Other than that, I would anticipate those kind of cards to come out, and again, these dopey, stupid Skirk prospectors that do nothing to come in.
Yeah. So I guess that's all we really have to talk about here. And so this might be a silly question. Who do you like here?
I like the deck that doesn't let. So when you have like tutus don't like attack through 0/4s very well,
Yeah.
and so therefore. I like the deck that has the 0/4s when you're looking against the tutus on paper.
Okay.
But in reality, Goblins has the ability to go wider. It has the ability to play like spells that can get you over humps. You have the weird value engines as the Dark Dweller. You have the ability to like do direct damage. I just think on average the Goblin deck should have an advantage here, but we might just not see that come into play. Although I think it's absolutely hilarious that there are Shafet Dunes in the Walls deck.
Yeah.
This deck is a pile.
It can pump its
How-
creatures.
You're on... How are you on 7 check lands and 4 basics?
You just always have your basic.
This mana base is...
Yeah. He needs the deserts, but he also needs the basics. But he also
I'm not a
needs-
fan of Skirk Prospector in decks that can't abuse it. While yes, your deck all is full of goblin creatures, which are specifically what Skirk Prospector is trying to use.
But you're
don't-
trying to go wide, and sacrificing creatures doesn't really help you go wide.
Gaining incremental mana by using your resources as fast mana, quote-unquote fast mana in this situation, just isn't going to have enough of an effect on you.
Yeah.
Skirk Prospector is a powerful card when you're doing broken things. When you're doing things like getting a turn 3 Godpharaoh's Gift into play off of Skirk Prospector start.
Yeah.
Or you're doing things like the stupid Fecundity combo in Modern. That's when Skirk Prospector actually has an effect.
Yeah, but when you're just kind of like, here's my 1/1 that I might let me ramp out this 4-drop of turn earlier, or this 5-drop, it's like,
There is the... God, what is it?
Oh,
Please pull the Goblin deck up. I need to read those cards more, because this is just an assorted 0/4. I don't need to read it.
God.
Oh, that's why he plays the deserts. So you can ping him with the wall
Yes.
desert.
And,
My bad.
Yeah, that's fine. No, he had the Goblin Instigator.
The Instigator, the almost Bog War Marshal. Does the ping defender guy hit creatures, or is it just face?
I don't know. Wall of Forgotten Pharaohs deals 1 damage to target player. It's only player.
Okay.
Okay. So it's not even that good here.
Yeah, it is not very strong. There is the Trash Master on turn 4 there from Justin, going to put 4 points of damage across to Connor, hitting him down to 15. After a Lightning Strike helped clean up that wall. We do see in... God, what is this creature's name? Arcades?
Yeah.
We do see an Arcades in Connor's hand, but he's not going to go ahead and run it out. Multiple dive downs also in the grip, but only access to a single blue mana. Oh, and no green mana.
Yeah, he's going to have to pop off a Field of Ruin here to get one of his 2 forests to cast the Arcades next turn.
Unfortunately, Justin actually decided to play his non-basic.
And I don't think that the Arcades got me enough. Funnily enough.
Well, what makes you say that? We're not even going to make the play. It's like we didn't see it. 2 mana there. There is an assorted 0/4 wall creature. And nothing else to do. Also, oh, that isn't a Field of Ruin. That's a Scavenger Ground. That's why we couldn't Field of Ruin.
Oh, okay then. My bad.
Yeah.
Doesn't really matter, though.
Justin here just going to go ahead and play a Squee. Squee going to get sacrificed to the Trashmaster. Oh, Trashmaster has double duty in this effect because all the creatures that Connor plays are artifacts.
Yep.
Didn't even think about that.
And Connor's dead, right?
Yeah. Why are we still here?
He's just dead.
All right.
Okay, that was neat.
All right. The Goblins deck did what I was kind of anticipating, where it just went a little bit wider than the 0/4 deck.
Yeah, and because he kind of, like, Connor wasn't able to really have anything on the board, and even if he could have played the Arcades on curve, it wouldn't really done anything.
Yeah. The Defender's deck requires just too much to go correct for it to have a real effect.
Yeah, I think the deck is far too cute, and like honestly, if your deck full of 0/4s and 0/5s at 2 mana can't beat the Goblins deck consistently. I'm not for sure.
Yeah, if you can't beat the aggro deck, then what are you doing?
What are you doing?
How does this deck beat a Heart of Karan?
How does this deck beat a singular counterspell?
You dive down, your creature was on the stack. You can be targeted with a counterspell, right?
Sure. Like, but no, like this is kind of showing off more fun decks than anything is.
Absolutely. But also just kind of showing why some of these more fun decks aren't exactly that viable.
Yeah. I do think that Arcades might see something, I don't know.
I think Arcades will see play.
Like,
I think it involves singleton formats.
Yeah, it's going to definitely see singleton format play. And if I ever saw it play in a 60-card format, you wouldn't build the deck around it. I feel like it's something that would just incidentally be in there.
Yeah, no, there would be a deck built around in a 60 card. There's a format called Brawl.
Oh god, that's still Commander. It's Commander, but like standard.
I understand the meaning there. Forest in the Glacial Fortress, the dream. It's just what we want.
So,
but no, I definitely think that our Arcades is an interesting commander. I did play against it in a pod the other day, and it did nothing.
Yep,
it was great.
Yeah, that's not a problem with decks like that. They kind of lend themselves to doing not a whole ton of anything.
Right, we see Dr. Weller Oracle into Squee, and we have the value engine online.
Yeah, we do have the value engine online. Now, Connor did miss his 3rd land drop on curve, picking up an Aether hub this turn.
Aether hubs?
Yes.
Why?
We're on 3 Aether hubs. Because he's playing a 3-color deck.
You don't need them. I think I might have some defenders that matter.
Yeah. I could see that being a thing.
Right, we both the creatures here just going to go ahead and get blocked by their assorted defenders. Justin just keeping up appearances here, no reason not to attack realistically.
Yeah. It's a possibility we could see the Chandra in his hand come down and pop off one of those creatures if he wants to.
I feel like that's just a little too aggressive. It's not something you really need to do. He was more just trying to go ahead and get a Chain Whirler in, but there's actually was nowhere special that the Chain Whirler could do damage to with a 2 power and a 1 power creature against a 4 toughness and a 5 toughness creature.
Yeah, I don't... So the attack is fine, because like, it does make Connor... If Connor's really worried about one of his creatures dying, he might have to consider not blocking with something.
Connor here missing his 4th land drop, just playing the Reach Wall.
And now he just has 3 walls.
This wall has Reach, but Ulamog doesn't. How's that make you feel?
It's a tall wall.
This is like my least favorite thing that most of the Eldrazi Titans don't have Reach.
Yeah. I mean, like, they're huge. How do they not reach?
How does a spider do it? The spider, like, shoots its web, like, thousands of feet in the air.
A spider...
Get out of that guy. Get out of there.
It makes sense it makes sense flavor-wise.
My spider's going to block your big old boat. I'm going to block Sky Sovereign with my spider.
it makes sense in theory and flavor-wise, but then when you think about it, it's like Ulamog's like how much bigger than a spider? Like he's a lot bigger than a spider.
I don't know if Ulamog's that much bigger than a spider. You know, giant spider is giant. Ulamog doesn't have the word giant anywhere in his name.
Sure. Can't argue that logic.
Just going ahead and getting away a little bit from the game here, primarily just because walls are doing the wall thing, and the goblins are attempting to build a force to get around the wall.
Yep. Now, Justin does have a lot of things working in his hand. He even has the Chandra in his hand as kind of a backup plan if he needs to go on that, and that might be the route that he has to go.
We do see the Goblin Chainwhirler on top of the deck as an exile from the Dark Dweller who has Squee did find the graveyard there. Justin going ahead and thinking about what the best line here is, and I think the Goblin Chainwhirler is just going to go away for the rest of this game.
Yep. Now, Justin right now obviously would not mind picking up a Lord off the top of his deck here.
Interesting thing here is Chandra actually is a real threat on just the ultimate side of things. If Justin's able to keep Chandra on the board and Connor doesn't have a ton of ways to interact with it, Chandra will just end the game.
Yeah, now he does...
I love fast lands.
If he had a desert, he could ping it with his ping wall.
Yes, because it says target player instead of each opponent.
Yes.
So it has been errated to be able to do that. But instead we're going to see a mana base of Botanical Sanctum, Glacial Fortress Forest, and Aether Hub, none of which have the keyword desert on it. See Justin here picking up a 6th land, and I anticipate Chandra to go up either to find a card or to just go ahead and make some mana here.
Yeah.
Either are going to be rather powerful for him at this point, especially with the Squee Dark Dweller engine.
I think that in theory, so long as your opponent misses on Arcades or on a desert, your Chandra plan is pretty strong.
5 mana here, going to be the Siege Gang Commander, bringing along a group of tokens. Is it Connor? Perfectly okay with that.
He's like, nah, it's fine. I got my wall, though.
He's got his walls.
Now, this is also a slow alternate win condition for Justin in the way that he can just start flinging goblins.
The Goblin Burn plan, eh?
It's there. It exists.
The Goblin Chainwhirler are going to go ahead and come across as Siege Gang Commander has the ability to take care of any last part of it if Justin wants to go ahead and try for it, but Connor does have access to multiple dive downs in the hand.
Yeah. And looks like Justin's not going to go for it and instead just kind of commit one more goblin to the board. Yep. I think that's fine.
And Connor's intelligently blocking with the 05 instead of an 04 there, meaning that the Goblin Chainwhirler are not going to just go ahead and take down the creature. Here we see Connor's hand full of a lot of very medium quality permanents. He did bring in the Heroic Interventions, interestingly.
Yeah.
He wants 7 dive down effects in this matchup.
It can save your creature in combat, but I don't like keeping both the dive down and the heroic intervention here.
There is the Golden Guardian, has the ability to potentially start turning out an engine for Connor. But I think if we're moving into that late game position with the Golden Guardian, I think we're going to be moving into a position where Justin more than likely has the late game victory there.
Ha! One could say his back is to the wall. Thank you.
I was trying not
David
to.
Drake, 17.
Please don't give DJ any.
That was a great
feeling.
comment.
3 mana there. There is another Goblin Chainwhirler, the last of the bundle.
So many Chainwhirlers. This deck needs to get banned. Alright, so he's just going to get in there. Doesn't really care that he's going to lose some of his creatures.
Yep, everyone coming across.
Yeah?
Chainwhirler happened preemptively here, which is an interesting thing because it means that the Guardian cannot block a Chainwhirler and have it be an effective block.
Yeah. Maybe he's thinking about flinging the goblin he just played.
So we see one of the walls. Everyone going to a pretty safe block. I anticipate one of the goblin tokens going to go ahead and take down the Golden Guardian along with the Siege Gang Commander.
Yeah, I think that just seems reasonable. It takes away our creatures from Connor's side. And Connor is taking a total of 7 damage this turn.
Yep. It looks like damage going to go ahead and resolve here. Siege Gang Commander going to hit the bin.
Whoops.
So we're going to go ahead and go back to that situation.
Okay.
Yep, Siege Gang Commander should definitely be throwing a Goblin token at the Golden Guardian here.
Justin doesn't know what it does.
No one knows what that card does.
Connor knows what it does. He'll tell you.
All right, 2 damage going to go to the Golden Guardian, going to make it to our CGN Commander and it trade. So a total of 6 damage is going to come across here, dropping Connor down to 9. And everything else is going to be just fine.
Yep. And now, like, Connor needs to find something here.
Chandra is at 7, not 1 also, so that is very important there.
Yeah, she's just kind of chilling off the camera, but she's there. She's threatening.
And I believe there is a Dark Dweller in play for Justin. And it's just the Squee in Graveyard. I think he can potentially go Squee, sacrifice it, play a land, Squee again.
So
and that's 10 damage.
He can play Nissa, he can activate it, and he can attack, but
I think the Goblin Chain Roller is just going to go ahead and block there.
I would assume, and then Connor cannot beat an emblem.
Pretty much no one can beat a Chandra emblem.
Correct. Once that emblem hits the command zone, the game is basically over.
Goblin Chain Roller going to go under the Hinterland Harbor there. Hinterland Harbor going to stay at 5/5 until the beginning of Connor's next turn.
Yep. And now Connor also just has the Squee synergy with the Chandra emblem and like...
Yep, and we found it. So that is enough for him to go Emblem my Chandra. I have a Chandra's emblem. You take 5 every time I cast a spell. Cast Squee. Sacrifice Squee. Cast Squee.
Yep,
and
guilt
that's
into you.
Squee lethal.
Squeeful.
And there is 10 damage from Squee coming across. Connor going to go ahead and concede. So we see Justin with Mono Red Goblins actually 2-1ing both of his matches.
Yep.
Picking it up with a suboptimal deck in the suboptimal field.
Yep. So Justin's deck did have one of those games. His deck did look really impressive. I will say. I just think that you are missing a lot of the early game that's necessary for Goblins to be good.
Oh, absolutely. The fact that you don't have access to powerful 1-drops and a lot of the very, very powerful things that the Goblins decks get to do is have that early game. You see in Legacy, the entire deck almost completely hinges around a card like Goblin Lackey connecting. And that's why the deck just didn't exist since Deathray Shaman got picked up, is because Deathray Shaman blocks a Lackey all the time.
Yeah.
You see Goblins not really being a deck in Modern, but when it does show up, I believe it did win a PTQ recently, an 8-whack build, where you're just going really wide with these Goblins, and the majority of them have to have 2+ power.
Yes.
Like Foundry Street Denizen is the last time we saw a powerful 1-drop Goblin.
Yeah, and that Goblin... I'll admit, at least that Goblin was pretty strong, but I don't think we're going to see something of quite that power anytime soon.
I don't know. We might see the Foundry Street Denizen coming back in the Guilds of Ravnica.
Yeah. All right, I'm going to go and transition over.
Get that Golden Guardian out of here.
Nah.
Get him out of here.
Nah.
What can we pull up? Pull up the 2-mana guy that shoots your opponent when it ETBs.
We're going to pull up this thing.
All right, but here we're going to go ahead and see Kirby playing Sly Wizards. This is effectively the mono-red Flame of Keld deck, splashing blue for exactly 2 copies of the card that we see right here, Adalez the Cinder Wind.
Yes.
Adalez the Cinder Wind is a very, very powerful effect that will increase the your wizard's overall power with a board-wide prowess trigger. And every creature that we see in the deck is a wizard, except for the Goblin Chain Whirler and the Bomat Courier, both just being generally good red creatures.
Yes. So I think that this deck looks to be probably the most streamlined deck we've seen tonight. It looks like all of your decks are just trying to do one specific thing. You're very aggressive, your curve is low, and all of your cards work well together.
I like how this deck decides that it thinks that tokens decks are real enough to have to play 8 copies of Goblin Chain Whirlers plus sideboard. Oh no, the Lightning Mirror isn't the second Chain Whirler. That's the black one.
Yeah.
What does the Red Horse do?
We're gonna actually pull up the Red Horse.
I have no clue what the Red Horse does.
Red Horse is actually pretty decent.
2 mana, 3/1, can't be countered. It can't be blocked by blue creatures and has fire breathing. Okay, so it's good in your blue matchups.
Yeah, the card's actually fairly strong. It's well statted, and it kind of makes it a little hard for the opponent to effectively remove it if they're trying to counter it.
The only problem I see with a card like this is the factor that everyone's either on a card like Fatal Push or they're on a card like Seal Away, and both of those just answer this type of card very cleanly.
Yes, but if you're, say, on the draw and your opponent is holding up a counter spell for it, it gets a little awkward if you're able to play this creature through the counter spell, and then they want to counter something on turn 3, and it starts getting this whole thing of, like, it kind of messes with their curve a little bit.
Absolutely.
But not a ton more to talk about here. I think that this is just a deck that we're just going to get to kind of see in action, and then we'll talk about it as it goes.
Let's go ahead and send it down to them, and you guys are ready to begin. So we're going to see Connor here on the play, and I think that's going to be a very big thing for him. One thing about these Flame of Keld decks
Yes.
is, well, they have extremely explosive draws and the ability to just be extremely powerful in some situations. I've very commonly found that they fall short rather commonly.
That's fair. When you have a deck that's trying to enact that type of game plan, it certainly can just kind of get really close, but not be able to clinch out that last little bit.
So, in comparison to Goblins and how Goblins did in this matchup, how do you think that the Flame of Keld aggro does against the Walls deck?
So, I think it's interesting because the Goblins can go really wide and really big, and more reliably than this deck can, because this deck can go big with its blue card. But it's able to just kind of create this huge board state and go around these walls. But Kirby's going to have less creatures on average, which means these 0-4s and these 0-5s can actually effectively kind of stonewall the opponent. Pun intended.
Yeah, we see two Bowmat Couriers here, and both of them are just getting blocked immediately by these assorted 0-4 walls. Kirby here just going to go ahead and attack him with the Bowmats. But importantly, walls do not kill Bowmat Couriers, and that's going to leave these Bowmat Couriers to get giant advantages under them later in the game.
Yes, double Bowmat Courier with a large amount of cards underneath of it is going to threaten to give Kirby a ton of card advantage.
Connor has drawn 2 Dusk Dawns.
So Dusk Dawn can stand to be not terrible here. Well, it's pretty terrible.
Yeah, it's definitely not great. It kills Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yep.
And his own Golden Guardian, which luckily here, his turn 4 play is a Golden Guardian, so that does stop the attacks. It means that the Bowmat Couriers don't get to attack for free anymore. We see a kind of awkward hand out of Kirby's side. One of the 2 copies of the blue card with no blue creatures to go with. There is Warlord's Fury, giving his creatures first strike until end of turn and an extra card for him. We see his 4th land come down. Does he have both the Adelies?
I think he might.
There's the Gitu Lava Runner. Yep, he is holding both Adelies and a Flame of Keld. So if he plays a Flame of Keld, he'll have no reason to have blue cards in his deck anymore.
Yes.
And Connor's side, just a dive down and 2 Dusk Dawns, making it very awkward for him to effectively do anything.
Just going to have a battle of just nothing really happening. And he can't really use his Guardian super effectively because it would require him killing off one of his own creatures to do it and then having it die somehow.
It requires a lot for Golden Guardian to actually have an effect. There is the Flame of Keld, Act 1 of that saga. Going to go ahead and discard both copies of Adelies. And on Act 2, after Kirby draws a card, he's going to pick 2 more up. Looks like we might be attacking with our Bowmat Couriers and cashing them in for real cards here, though. Gitu Lava Runner getting into the fray. It looks like everyone might be going ahead and turning this turn.
Yep.
All right. So one Bowmat Courier has 4 under it, the other has 3, which means in this situation, if both the Bowmat Couriers sacrifice this turn, that's going to give Kirby a total of 7 cards. And the way that this happens, for anyone that's unfamiliar, Bowmat Courier is an activated ability. You can activate it, discard your hand and pay a red, and sacrifice Bowmat Courier and hold priority.
And then sacrifice the other and pick those cards up.
And because you are not discarding in between the activations, you are instead discarding after they happen. It is a slightly different story. But Kirby here is going to go ahead and pick up one of them.
So Kirby here, instead of choosing to go in for all the card advantage this turn, he's going to pick up some cards this turn and then try to get a little bit more advantage out of his second Bowmat Courier.
An interesting line, but he's going to have 3 more cards. We're going to have 5 cards next turn. Getting rid of 5 cards is not something that's necessarily easy. There is, God, what is this card's name again?
Arcades.
Arcades. There is Arcades from Connor, and that is going to actually be quite the problem, as it's going to make these walls actually real. And here comes an attack for 12.
Now, looks like Kirby's just looking to take all of this damage.
I would assume so. I'm not all that worried about this attack for 12. Any future attacks are a lot more scary. You are going to have access to 5 cards. You only currently have access to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 damage, but it's not hard for your deck to make a lot more happen.
Yeah. Looks like Kirby's thinking about just making 1 block here. Yep. So he's going to make 1 block, take 8, go down to 11, and leave himself with 3 creatures.
This is one of the situations in which the whole Connor's deck doesn't really do anything if there isn't an Arcades, is just simply the case. And the reasoning of that is just the fact that we look at this board state, and it went from Connor effectively doing a lot of nothing to having a real situation where he's potentially going to win.
Yeah. Now, Kirby does have the ability to throw down a Chain Whirler here. The Chain Whirler will shrink all the creatures on the opponent's side of play. And then if he attacks in with those creatures, if Connor blocks one of them, the shock in his hand will finish off the Arcades.
But Connor does have access to a dive down, but the lightning strike that we also have in Kirby's hand will finish the Arcades off afterwards.
Yes. It all depends on how Kirby plays this out, but he does have an effective way to either push through a large amount of damage or to kill off the Arcades.
There is a Goblin Chain Whirler. We're going to see the very, very powerful combination of Goblin Chain Whirler and Soulscar Mage here. Everyone quite familiar with it, I would assume, as it has been showing up quite a lot.
Yeah, if you watched any amount of Standard recently, played any amount of Standard, you know this interaction, and you probably hate this interaction.
I don't know why they had to make that card work that way.
Yeah.
I don't understand why Glorybringer gets to kill a Hazoret if there's a Soulscar Mage, just because some, dude is like, that Hazoret's weak now.
Yep, the Glorybringer, Chandra, there's so many things that work with it.
But Kirby here, I'm going to go ahead and take a more defensive route, it looks like here.
It is interesting to see him trying to play the defensive route when the opponent's board state is a lot larger than that of his own.
Absolutely, but I suppose Goblin Chain Whirler having first strike means that he gets to potentially eat a creature here. The 2/1 wizard that 2s your opponent, also not having much of an effect in most situations. Chain Whirler going to go in front of the ping wall, and it looks like a total of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 other damage going to come across. No way for Connor to increase it at instant speed, as his protection is dive down and not blossoming defense. Do you think there's much of a reason for a dive down instead of blossoming defense?
I don't think there is. Oh wait, no. It buffs it one more.
Oh, toughness matters more. Oh yeah, because of the way that
Yes.
Arcades works.
So currently Kirby is holding a Lightning Strike and a Shock in hand, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
So what I think we're seeing here is Connor's going to go ahead and go for a dive down on the one of the unblocked walls, because it is currently threatening a lethal situation, and it's forcing Kirby to interact. So Kirby's interaction looks like it might be Shock just to shrink a wall, which is an interesting play because he could attempt to go for a kill here, but I do like this the most.
So I think that he's trying to bait out an additional protection spell from Connor's side.
Mm-hmm.
Because if Connor does nothing, Kirby might get a read on him and then can go for the Lightning Strike to kill off the Arcades. And if Connor does blink here, then he's going to lose it to the Lightning Strike as well.
Absolutely. So we see the Shock here coming across on the Arcades, and that's going to take the last blue mana out of Connor to attempt for a dive down, but it looks like it might be going after one of the other creatures. But this also just loses to the Lightning Strike on the Arcades.
Yep. So this Lightning Strike on the Arcades effectively...
Either one works. I understand wanting to do this here. Okay, this is an interesting sequence. Okay. So what we're seeing here is we're going to see the dive down go on the reach wall. In response, Kirby's going to go for the Shock on the Arcades, threatening to put it down to no damage. Connor's then going to respond with a dive down on the Golden Guardian to go ahead and attempt for lethal again. In that sense. But then Kirby's going to go for the Lightning Strike on the Golden Guardian. Here Connor's going to, in response, use the Golden Guardian's ability, fight it with the Arcades, say that if Arcades dies, or the Golden Guardian dies this turn, it flips. So it does die from the Lightning Strike, and notably the Arcades has 3 damage marked on it. So as Shock resolves, Arcades is also going to die, which means that no damage is going to happen from this initial dive down, and Connor is left with no blockers on a turn where the Flame of Keld is going to pop.
I don't like the play from either side. Why didn't he strike the Arcades?
I think it's because I suppose he just wanted to save as much damage as possible and wanted to get rid of the Golden Guardian if possible. But I suppose it's a weird situation.
Well, because that way saves you more damage.
That is getting rid of the Arcades does. But, and then Connor went ahead and effectively helped his opponent by getting rid of the Arcades for him. We're going to see a Soulscar Mage coming down, and we're going to get an attack with everything. So Flame of Keld's last statement says, if a red source you control would deal damage to a permanent or player this turn, it deals that much damage plus 2. So what that means is Goblin Chain Whirler is worth 5 damage, each Soulscar Mage is worth 3, and the other wizard is worth a total of 4. So Connor's going to fall down to 1, but Matt Curry is going to get cracked, and there is a 5-mana Wizard's Lightning to go ahead and clean up the game.
Yep.
A weird way that last combat step resolved, but I think any way that it did, for the most part, ended with Kirby's favor.
Oh, yeah, I think that Kirby was winning regardless. I question the play from both sides is the only thing that I have to say. But it's understandable. It was kind of weird and like cards that you're not going to see a ton of.
Absolutely.
So I'm going to start by pulling up the Sly Wizards deck here.
All right.
All right, and I'm going to update these.
So I'll take the mountains again, and you can take the Zero Force?
Sure.
All right. So going from
The real deck.
Sly. So going from our sideboarding here, we're going to see quite a few cards that I have no idea what they are. What the hell's a Renegade Tactics?
Well, we'll pull that
What
up.
about a Hungry Flames? I don't know any of these.
Pulling all of them up. All right, which one do you want me to start
Renegade
with?
Tactics.
Renegade
I
Tactics.
have no idea what that card is.
Okay, then we're pulling it up.
All right. So starting here with Renegade Tactics. Sorcery, target creature can't block this turn, draw a card. All right. That's probably better than Warlord's Fury in this matchup.
Yeah.
So 3 of those for 3 of those. We still have 1 Warlord's Fury. What the hell is a Hungry Flames?
All right, then. So we're going to pull up Hungry Flames now.
Hungry Flames
Is a
3 mana, deal 3 damage to target creature and 2 to target player. Oh, right. It's the weird Searing Blaze-esque effect.
Yep.
Another card that I think might actually come in here. Warlord's Fury is not going to be a very powerful card for this matchup. You have access to those 5 cards to go ahead and come in. I think that you can trim one of the Shocks as well as the 5th card. There's an argument for Fight with Fire, but I don't think it's as necessary for this deck as it was for the Goblins deck.
Yeah. All right, now to switch over to the wall side.
Mm-hmm.
Boy.
Oh, we have another situation where we really don't have anything to sideboard, huh?
This deck is like something. All right, so we once again have the Excellence Binding as a possible removal spell.
But the Excellent Binding is a 4 against a deck of 2s.
You don't have any removal spells.
So you don't want Nissa or Dusk Dawn in this matchup.
You don't want Nissa, you don't want Dusk Dawn.
So I suppose you bring in your Blossoming Defenses just as more protection?
Your Blossoming Defenses or your Metallic Rebuke's bad. And Gideon's Intervention is bad. So, yeah, I guess we're just bringing the Blossoming Defenses and the Excellence Bindings and cutting the Nissas and the Dusk Dawns.
It's definitely not good. That is a good question. I suppose it's because the entire deck is playing at sorcery speed. So, like, ever holding up for Settle the Wreckage is the most obvious thing in the world.
Yeah.
But it's not at the same time, because who would assume that your, like, Walls deck plays Settle the Wreckage?
Yeah, so I actually think that Settle would be pretty good in this deck, if we're being honest here. Because you kind of force your opponent to, like, go on this wide attack plan, and then they just get got by a Settle the Wreckage.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, so we see Kirby here sideboarding. Looks like 1 Shock at least came down. Ooh, the Josh style.
And also, so while they're still doing this, I don't even think that matters that much from this deck if it's obvious. Because, like, what else is your opponent going to do? They can't just attack with 1 creature because you block it with
Yeah,
the
that's fair.
05.
It is an interesting conversation point there. As far as optimizing the Walls deck goes, I think you should take 32 of the cards out and play 32 different cards.
So we're going to take the old PVDDR advice. You just take your deck,
And then
you replace it with another deck.
You play... What was it? It was the...
It was the blue-green Karn deck.
The blue-green Karn deck is like, here are my suggestions for blue-green Karn. You take out the deck, you play black-red aggro.
Yes. I love PVDDR.
He's great.
He is quickly becoming one of my favorite pros.
So, we talked about it last week, the couple different articles, websites that posted videos in Legacy with the cards that just got banned, like the day after the ban.
Yes.
And I just thought it was hilarious, the sheer quantity of people, and like how everyone of the thing was just like, hey, these cards got banned, but we're still posting the content.
Like, they're like, I mean, I can understand their perspective. They made like a 2-hour video session. They're not going to just...
You guys are good to go.
They're not going to just, like, throw away all this video that they've made. So they're going to put it out there, but it's pretty irrelevant. And, like, they could have not made the content, but if we're being honest here, no one was like, so everyone knew that Deathrite Shaman was bannable, right?
Absolutely.
No question there. No one was expecting it at this point.
There were a couple people that I saw expecting the Jet Probe ban, but
Yeah, that's fair.
Phyrexian Mana should never have happened. Period.
Yeah.
Let's just start there.
It shouldn't have happened, but it was more one of those things that I think that myself and a large amount of Lexi players I know were kind of settled into this thing where it's like, these cards have been around for so long, and they've kind of had their points where they were the most busted. So we weren't expecting them to be banned, because it's like they've already passed the point that we would expect them to be banned.
I would agree with that. Connor here going to go ahead and mulligan down to 6. Looks happy with his hand. Kirby's hand here, 3 lands and 4 spells. Pretty reasonable for what he wants to do.
Yep.
I actually was trying to put together a Bant control deck, or a Bant ramp deck, but didn't get around to actually putting it all the way together, and I would have played it today if I did, but I didn't feel like it.
That's fair.
I wanted a Tattoo of Escape Shift. Real bad.
I thought real hard about, like, since we only have 5 players tonight, I thought about throwing together Sarkin Dragons.
Hell yeah.
But then I was like, I don't have time. I have to, like, work and then come here.
Wall here going to go ahead and get abraded. And, I guess we completely overlooked that fact that all the cards that Connor plays are artifacts.
Yes, with the exception of his 2-mana 0/5 that is just blue. That's it.
Yeah, Abrade here just going to go ahead and take care of the majority of those. We see the treasure getting sacrificed for a Golden Guardian here. Kirby on 3 lands. Going to go ahead and play a Goblin Chain Whirler and just pass back to the opponent. Him going down to 18. Adventurous Impulse, the stupid 0/5 with no other abilities. And a Field of Ruin in hand, along with, I believe that might be Gideon's Intervention.
Yeah, so he brought in the Gideon's Intervention. And going back to the comment that was made in the chat there, right now, I don't think that Connor would really mind having a Saddle Wreckage.
Oh, no, not at all. Here we see Field of Ruin going to go ahead and find a green mana for Connor because his mana base is atrocious.
His mana base.
How are there no cycle lands? Where were we just like, I only want to play with cards that aren't going to rotate, but then he put like Blossoming
Defense
and the untapped land in the deck.
Oh no, like the deck's got a lot of questionable things.
There's an Adventurous Impulse. Adventurous Impulse going to see an Assorted Wall, a Scavenger Ground, and another Assorted Wall. It looks like that Assorted Wall is better than the other Assorted Wall.
That is the Assorted Wall with Reach.
No, that's the one that makes the treasure.
Oh, that's the treasure one? Man,
that's definitely the treasure one.
Their artworks are similar-ish.
They're all Assorted Walls.
Yes.
We have not taken the time to memorize which wall does wall stuff. Because who cares?
Yeah, well, that's fair.
2 mana here getting tapped for Kirby, and never mind on that. Going to go ahead and draw a card. Finds a Flame of Keld. There is land number 4. Are there multiple Flame of Kelds in his hand? It looks like there are.
Let me tell you how that card's not great in multiples.
5th land in hand along with a Shock. So definitely kind of an awkward situation here from Kirby. Looks like we're going to go ahead and go for an attack here with both of our creatures.
Yep.
The Abrade in the graveyard means that the Shock is going to turn our Lava Runner into a 2/2. So regardless of where the block goes, the Shock will be able to clean up the Golden Guardian, assuming that there is no dive down effect, and it looks like there is not. So those will trade. Connor will take 3 to fall to 15, and there is a Flame of Keld, going to get rid of some dopey cards and give Kirby 3 fresh ones at the following turn.
Yep. All in all, not a terrible turn for Kirby here.
Connor playing his draft deck. With all his basics, going to go ahead and play a Gideon's Intervention. He now has protection from Goblin Chain Whirler.
Yes.
A powerful card in some situations, a card that you actually see a decent amount in Modern right now, out of your green-white company decks. Todd Stevens, I've seen play 1 copy of this card quite a lot, actually.
Yes. Now, it looks like, from what I can tell, I think that Kirby brought in his mare from the sideboard.
There is a Fight with Fire in there, but yep, there is the Horse. Horse is going to actually be a pretty reasonable way to get through some of the creatures that Connor has. Didn't even think about that. The fire-breathing effect, meaning that he can pump through walls without having to put any extra pressure on it.
And
you see...
Oh, continue.
Whatever that... God, the stupid 1-drop that cycles and makes something not able to block. Just going to go ahead and go on the Bowmat Courier here and give Kirby a cycle effect.
Now, so one thing I would like to point out is that the mare cannot be blocked by a total of 9 cards in Connor's deck.
It's blue creatures, right?
Yeah.
Yep, so 9 cards. That is relevant. The 0/5 and the treasure wall are going to come down here, and we see from Kirby, there is a Soulscar Mage and another Bomat Courier. Flame of Keld is on the last tick of this turn, so this Mare does an extra 2 damage without fire breathing.
Yes. Which is pretty strong.
Absolutely relevant. Connor is hellbent here. So we're going to see Mare do a total of 6 damage because of the Flame of Keld, I would assume. Or no, it looks like we're just going to go for cards off of Bomat Courier this turn.
He's thinking about doing something, either pumping the Mare or popping the Bomat Couriers, but looks like he's just going to hold up his mana here.
A land from Connor, and he's just on nothing effectively, just 2 walls. I think the first game that Connor played is the only game I've seen him draw a card off of playing a defender.
Yes. So the thing is that, like, you have to kind of get a stall in order to start taking advantage of your card advantage engine, and if your opponent can start, like, removing 1 or 2 of your walls, it just gets awkward for you.
Yep. Mare going to go ahead and Fire Breathing to take down the treasure wall there, it looks like.
Yep.
The Soulscar Mage getting blocked, and 2 damage coming across to Connor, putting him down to 7.
Yep, and I don't believe Connor really has a way out of this situation here.
He has a dive down.
He has a
Does that help?
Are
you saying that doesn't help?
No, it doesn't. He's actually just dead to the Mare alone.
Yeah, because Soulscar Mage gets blocked here, and then the Mare is going to do 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 from the current board, but Kirby just going to go ahead and preemptively play something, probably going to clean it up a little bit more, but it looks like we figured out that if we just turn all our creatures sideways, we win the game.
Yep, and I think that we're just going to see this match end in a 2-0 for Kirby here.
Yep, so double pump here, going to mean that Kirby picks it up, and the walls fall 2-0 from the opposing side.
Yep, now Kirby's deck here looking not terrible. As I said, it looked to be one of the more streamlined decks that we're going to see tonight. And not incredibly surprising to see him pull that out into a fashion.
It's definitely not all that different from the other Flame of Keld decks. And here we're going to see how it fares in the aggro mirror match. With Mono Green Stompy going to be what he's going to play against here. And this is more streamlined of what we expect from the Mono Green deck. It's probably the most streamlined of the decks that we have, as the Mono Green deck doesn't really have that much to change.
I think that there are a few standout changes that Ricky has made to the deck, but...
and what would those be? Let's go ahead and take a look.
We're going to pull those up in 1 second. Mono Green Stompy.
All right.
Transition.
Get those Hungry Flames out of here.
All right, we'll pull up something.
What the... Oh, he's playing Goreclaw. He's playing the bear.
Yes, and that's
Hell
actually what I'm going to pull up. The bear that a lot of people weren't super excited about from a flavor-wise. So it's a 4-mana 4/3 that makes all of your creature makes.
You mean the legendary bear that doesn't do anything with other bears?
Yes, it makes all of your creatures with power 4 or greater cost 2 less to cast, which is great because there are no bears with more than 2 power aside from Goreclaw itself. And whenever it attacks, each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets +1/+1 and trample on turn. Not terrible here.
Definitely a powerful effect. It's going to mean that one, it grows itself. Specifically mentioning whenever it attacks each creature you control with power 4 or greater gets a bonus, meaning that it does grow itself. But outside of just giving itself that boost, every single creature that Ricky plays, except for the dopey Explore creatures and Llanowar Elves, are of that size, and they are going to get that benefit.
Yeah, and Goreclaw here does allow for some pretty threatening plays from Ricky's side. Being able to curve it into Virtue Rescue Hulk specifically feels like something that can be very intimidating.
You can curve it into... You can almost curve it into Double Gear Hulk, like...
You almost can curve it into Double Gear Hulk. And the card actually just feels not bad in this list here.
The only awkward thing that I see is that his list is only on 3 Steel Leaf Champion, which I'm not a big fan of. That card should definitely be a 4. That 4th Jade Light Ranger or 4th Branch Walker should probably just be a Steel Leaf Champion.
Yeah, or even the 3rd Rishkar could be cut.
Rishkar is kind of an awkward card in this deck.
Yeah. But aside from that, and I think that the Vivian Reed might not... I'm not sure how I feel about the 3/5 drop Planeswalkers, but it could be good here.
This deck is a little heavy, and I suppose that's the reason for a card like Rishkar. But let's go ahead and move down to the match and figure out the reasoning as to why we're doing all the things we're doing. You guys are good to start when you're ready.
Go and reset that timer there.
There we go. All right, player's going to go ahead and cut and get ready. So from this perspective, we have the hyper-aggressive mono red versus the quite larger mono green. What do you anticipate to be advantaged in this matchup, and why?
So I think that I like Ricky's side a little bit more here. Just the fact that he's able to have all these very efficient creatures that go very large, starting as early as turn 2 with a Llanowar Elf. And the fact that he has a larger late game in the form of Vigorous Gearhulk, his bear, and all these other things. And that being said, I could see Kirby pulling out a win just by playing really efficiently, killing off some early creatures from Ricky's side, and kind of just keeping Ricky on the back foot and trying to end the game quickly.
Okay. And that's completely reasonable. I think one of the major issues here that we're going to see is exactly as I mentioned earlier, where you get these aggro or creature mirrors. The deck that is usually slightly bigger is just going to have that advantage.
Yes.
And the fact that, as you said, Ricky has the potential to put a 5/4 into play on turn 2.
Yeah.
If Ricky's on the play here, he's definitely going to be heavily advantaged.
Yeah. And then with cards, even like if he's able to play a turn 4 or 5 Galta or something like that, a Galta or a Verdurous Gearhulk, he has a lot of cards that I just don't see how Kirby profitably answers.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and see it. And I think both players went ahead and took a mulligan.
Yep.
From the mulliganing perspective, who do you think that phasers?
I think that going back to the same thing again, I think the mono green deck just can mulligan better. I think that Kirby's deck synergizes well with itself, but it needs to synergize with itself in order to do well, whereas Ricky's deck just has cards that are individually good.
Do we see a hand of 3 or 4 forests from Ricky? And then from Kirby, it looks like we have a start of Bomat Courier card going to go ahead and go under that.
Yep. Now, Kirby's, I know personally Kirby's a pretty huge fan of Bomat Courier as a card.
Bomat Courier is a very, very powerful card. I mean, it's somehow winning games in Legacy.
Yeah. When that card first popped up when Deathrite was still legal, and it was really good in the event that it got played in.
We're going to see a Warlord's Fury here, giving the Bomat Courier first strike, meaning that if that Llanowar Elf for some dumb reason wants to block it, ain't getting any value out of it.
Yep. And Warlord's Fury it's not even fair to call that card a combat trick because of the fact that it is sorcery speed.
It is a very weird card.
Yeah.
My creatures are going to have first strike. Don't block them.
Yeah, like, it's good if your opponent's forced into blocking, but it feels just kind of like a cantrip a lot of times.
Here you see a Merfolk Branchwalker, the Explorer, going to go ahead and find a forest here, which means that if there is a card like Goblin Chainwhirler here, Ricky's side of the board is just going to get cleaned up for no investment from Kirby. But the quick movement of separating his mana does not look like that's going to happen. But here we see the new Wizard going to put 2 damage across, but that Branchwalker means that there's no favorable attacks, and we see just another forest from Ricky here.
Yeah. And from Kirby's side, he chose not to attack with the Bomat Couriers, trying to save them for a little bit more value. And we might see him go in for an attack this turn and turn them into 5 cards.
The Flame of Keld going to go ahead and turn his Mountain into 2 new cards later on. And we're going to see an attack here for 4. Ricky going to potentially block the 2/1, it looks like. But I do know that he has a Virtuous Gearhulk, so that means there is a Virtuous Gearhulk coming down for Ricky this turn.
Yeah. And given that, holding on to all of his creatures makes sense because you want this Virtuous Gearhulk to come down and have as big an impact as possible.
And we also see Nissa Vital Force picked up here. But here is 5 mana, and there is the very powerful artifact from Kaladesh. Going to move 4 +1/+1 counters along Ricky's creatures. I would like to see at least 1 go on each of the other creatures that are not Gearhulk, potentially 2 on the Branchwalker.
I'd be almost interested in just seeing a 2/2 split, so that way all of your creatures have more than 3 toughness, and you just have a really evenly distributed board.
What I actually am very interested to see is potentially a Goblin Chainwhirler, the Flame of Keld board state, where the Chainwhirler does 3 to every opposing creature. But here we're going to see Kirby in response to the designation on where the counters are going to go. One of the Bomat Courier is going to go down, and a Wizard's Lightning going to take care of the Branchwalker.
Now that being a pretty strong effect, but Ricky was effectively still getting 6 power out of that 5 drop here.
Yes, and it's also getting forced of removal on a card as dopey as Merfolk Branchwalker.
Yes. So I don't think that Ricky's terribly upset about that. He would certainly be happy if he still had his creature, but...
Absolutely. We see a Gitu Lava Runner here come down, and that is a 2/2 with haste and 2 more mana. There is the other wizard that I still don't know the name of. Going to do 2 damage across to Ricky's face, and we see a Wizard's Lightning in the hand for Kirby, so he has plenty of damage lined up here. And so if everything attacks, the whatever the Virtuous Gearhulk blocks, that's 3 damage across, potentially 4. We have a lot coming in here from Kirby's side of the field.
Yes.
And then Flame of Keld going to pop next turn with at least 3 cards under a Bomat Courier.
Yeah, this is not a great spot for Ricky to be in. This was kind of the situation I brought up in which he could lose, wherein Kirby just went super fast and aggressive, and Ricky wasn't able to do anything about
Name
it.
of the card being Vishino Pyromancer.
Yes. It's actually a fairly well-statted creature, considering it also has a strong effect in an aggressive deck.
2 mana, 2/1 that does 2 damage 100% of the time.
Yeah.
Is a pretty powerful card. Virtuous Gearhulk going to go in front of the Bomat Courier. 3 damage going to come across to Ricky, putting him to the 6. Bomat Courier going to get sacrificed for 3 cards, and 4 more damage going to finish off with Ricky at 2.
Yep.
Warlord's Fury, a mountain and a land, the only card left over from Kirby, though. So if Ricky's able to mount a force of blocks, and Kirby doesn't have any damage coming off the top, he'll be able to survive.
He can play the Nissa and uptick, and then land does stay a creature until his next turn. So
But the Nissa uptick taps the land, or oh no, wait, he does have access to a 5th land, and a 6th land, and a 7th land, I believe, in hand. So
he can play the Nissa, he can uptick, he can get a blocker, and then just hope that Kirby has nothing.
if we're living in the situation where every single card that Kirby draws for the rest of this game is actually a blank, Ricky has potential to win.
Yes. It's definitely not looking great for him. And
Ricky's just not even going to give it a shot.
yeah. So I think that's normally I would say that's kind of that situation may seem a bit preemptive of a concession, but I don't think that there is many great ways for Ricky to get out of that, knowing how the opponent's deck works.
For Ricky to potentially win that game, he would have to have blockers for every creature Kirby plays for the rest of the game.
Yep.
And also fade 12 burn spells off the top.
He would also he also has to fade Vishino Pyromancers and
Azalina, because he doesn't have access to, or not Azalina, Adeliz.
yeah, he has a lot to dodge here. All right, so we're gonna start with the mono green deck since we haven't looked at that. And
All right, I know you're very familiar with forests.
yeah, I got it. Sure.
Figure out what forests do here.
All right. Oh god, what does this card do?
What card? Nature's Way?
Yeah, that card.
I think it's a fight mechanic.
Sure. All right. So, from the side of Ricky here, we don't want the plummets, obviously. They aren't very strong. The Death Scorch Scavenger is just his way of gaining life. I like those.
It's a reasonable creature. It gets in combat well.
Yep. Aether Sphere Harvester, feeling pretty strong here. And Nature's Way being a... I'm going to just actually pull this up.
I suggest looking at the card, but I'm pretty sure it's a fight mechanic.
Yeah. Third creature you control gains vigilance and trample insurance. Okay. So I think Nature's Way actually feels not bad here. Lobby creatures are better statted, and that can just be a removal spell. And I don't think that you're super interested in anything else here on the board.
Okay, so those 6 cards that I would anticipate, you're taking the 3/5 drops out, the 3/5 mana planeswalkers.
Flat-Mender Planeswalkers aren't at their best. Aside from that, you could trim down on one Rishkar or some number of your Galtas, as well as the Galta may be a little too slow here.
What about a card like Heart of Karan in this type of matchup?
Heart of Karan is also... So, Heart of Karan isn't necessarily the best at being aggressive, and you may not necessarily always have the power to accrue it, though it is a flying blocker. I think that it's also entirely reasonable cut and might be a better cut than Galta, but it just feels that Galta might be a pipe dream in this matchup.
Okay. So that makes perfect sense. Those 6 cards in and those 6 cards out. So moving forward, the red side of things, I would anticipate... I have no clue. I would anticipate the Hungry Claims to come in. There's a decent amount of creatures that you can deal 3 points of damage to and actually kill, and the Searing Blaze style effect is good enough for that.
Yes.
I would also anticipate your Fight with Fires to come in, just good 1-for-1 removal for what your opponent's doing.
Yep.
There is an argument for cards like the Renegade Tactics to go ahead and make it to where blocking is awkward for the opponent, but he will be able to keep up with the quantity of creatures that you have, so making one creature unable to block isn't going to have a ton of an effect.
Yeah.
The cards that I would anticipate to come out of the deck, though, are cards like... it's actually kind of an awkward discussion. There aren't any cards here that are just strictly weak. There are no cards here that that I look at and just automatically assume that this card is terrible. Also run round 4, not 3.
Oh, whoops. I did not update that.
But for the 4 cards that I suggest, I might just cut my Warlord's Furies again. While it does have some situation to be very powerful in this type of matchup, I don't think it's good enough to make the final cut.
Yeah, I think that Warlord's Fury is going to end up being your weakest card here.
Almost always.
Yeah. But I think that a lot of times you have that type of card and you're drained out.
It is a Glass Cannon card for a Glass Cannon deck. So let's go ahead and tell the players they're good to go and head on down to them. You guys may start. So we see Ricky here going to be on the play, and if he leads with a Llanowar Elf, which unfortunately we do not, he would have been right off to the races, but a G2 Lava Runner going to start the fray off for Kirby. And there is Llanowar Elf showing up right where he wants to be. Card 8 when you're on the play.
Ooh, I always hate to see that when you look at your opening hand, you don't have a 1-drop play, and then you see the 1-drop on turn 2, and you're just like, I'm never casting this card.
There's Merfolk Branchwalker, going to go ahead and see a Steel Leaf Champion. I'm going to assume Ricky's pretty okay with that one.
Yep. Leave it on top, curve your 3-2 into your 5-4, and hope that this is good enough.
Kirby here was his second land, and curious to see how he's going to want to go ahead and navigate this turn. 2 mana might be the Vashino Pyromancer. It looks like it's going to be a Lightning Strike taking care of the Branchwalker, and 1 point coming across.
Yep. So Kirby's trying to get in a little bit of aggression, but he does have to worry about when this Steel of Champion comes down. It is a 5-4, which is a pretty strong body.
And there it is off the Hash Up Oasis, going to do a point of damage down to Ricky, but I'm sure he's quite alright with that.
Yeah.
Kirby here has a Goblin Chainwhirler, going to deal 1 damage to Ricky, and pretty much not have any other effects here. Ricky here, looks like we... Okay, so there's another Hash Up Oasis and another Llanowar Elves picked up there.
Those are not necessarily a string of cards you want. Having 2 more just 1/1s isn't super strong, and then you don't want too many pain lands in this type of matchup.
Thrashing Brontodon a good draw, or a good card here, as it is a difficult card for Kirby to interact with favorably.
Yep.
So there is 3 mana there for a Thrashing Brontodon, and I would be surprised, but it looks like Ricky's going to go for the Llanowar Elves for a point.
Yep. And just valuing having a little bit more board presence over the 1 point of life here.
Looks like a Lightning Strike to pick up from Kirby here. We see the Vashino Pyromancer going to deal 2 damage to Ricky, putting him down to 14. And just a Pashback, holding up Lightning Strike, and Flame of Keld, the other card in hand, with a Lava Runner. So kind of an anemic hand from Kirby's side.
It is a little bit anemic on his side, but I think that he's still in a perfectly winnable position.
Oh, absolutely. He is definitely in a favored position here, or a potentially favorable position. We're going to see before blocks a Lightning Strike going on the Steel Leaf Champion. Ricky's going to say okay to that, and the Goblin Chainwhirler is going to go ahead and take it down, turning that Lightning Strike into effectively a 4-point burn spell there.
Yep. Now, Kirby doing this before blocks because if Ricky has a Blossoming Defense, then he doesn't want to make that block.
Very important to make sure that you know that the block is safe before you make it. There is 4 mana, and I believe that is Qualsisma? What the hell is this card's name?
Goreclaw.
Goreclaw. No, it's the Terror of Qualsisma. I was close with Qualsisma.
Okay.
Qualsisma, is that from Tarkir? That's a place on Tarkir. Yeah, because Winds of Qualsisma. So is this the bear that Sarkhan punches?
I don't think it is. It doesn't
Or
look
not Sarkhan, Surik.
It doesn't look like
It's the bear punch bear. I don't care.
Okay, it's the bear punch.
This is the bear that gets punched. That's all I care about.
He got buff after he got punched.
He's tired of it. He's like, Surik, I'm going to show you what's up. I'm going to punch you back. I want an art of this bear punching Surik.
That would be great. It's still the same card, Bear Punch, only now has a different meaning.
I honestly just want to get Savage Punch and a copy of Savage Punch altered to be the bear punching Surik instead.
I'd be down for that. All right. So Kirby here just looking at a board of a couple 2/2s, a 3/3 for a strike, and a 2/1.
There is a G2 Lava Runner, the play here from Kirby, and it looks like we're going to go ahead and go attacking with the Goblin Chainwhirler. This shock backup, meaning that any blocks aren't going to be super favorable. And here is the shock on the Thrashing Brontodon. Ricky with no effects here means the Brontodon gets eaten by the shock effectively. There's a Flame of Keld with no drawbacks.
Yep. Now this Flame of Keld is going to refuel Kirby's hand, and given the fact that he also has a fairly decent board position, it's going to allow him to stay kind of in a good position in this game.
Ricky here is going to play a Merfolk Branchwalker, sees a Forest, definitely not what he wants to see here. And his last card is Forest and Llanowar Elves, meaning that if the very powerful Goblin Chainwhirler does find its way into the top 3 cards of Kirby's deck, there is going to be a Plague Wind style effect. We're going to see the slide deck just run his opponent over.
Yeah, I don't think that... I think Ricky's going to get 2-0'd here.
I would agree. And the Chainwhirler was the first card that he picked up.
Yeah.
The second Llanowar Elves not played intelligently like Ricky, but those creatures going to go ahead and fall to the Chain Whirler, and I see a Gitu Lava Runner in the leftovers along with the Renegade Tactics, so we're going to see a very powerful attack here, especially because the Chain Whirler effect is on Goreclaw, and Goreclaw is a 4/3 naturally, I believe.
Yep, which means it cannot block a single thing profitably.
Oasis does not give Trample. It just gives +3/+3.
Yes, that is correct. All right, so instead, Kirby's going to make it so the Goreclaw can't block and just get in maximum damage. And
Ricky falling to 4, and there's no way that you can put enough blockers in play to make it to where Flame of Keld isn't going to do a ton of damage to him here. And I think that means that Kirby's not going to lose the game tonight.
Yeah. So I think that what we kind of saw happen here in this matchup is what we had previously talked about, wherein Kirby's deck is just super fast and Ricky has kind of clunky cards in this matchup. So it doesn't matter that he can go bigger because Kirby can just race him down.
Yeah, we saw that argument that we did state where the deck that goes a little bit bigger usually has an advantage because their creatures are going to line up better against the opposing creatures. But we ran into the situation here where being a little bit bigger was a little bit too slow for the matchup, as Gitu Lava Runner and friends just went directly under the player and did the slicing.
Yeah. One thing of note from the chat here is that if he had used the Oasis, the bear itself would give trample, as that's one of its effects.
I'm not sure in what situation you think it was correct to use the land and attack. I don't think there was ever a position.
Oh, no, I'm not saying...
Oh, no, I'm responding.
Okay, then. But no.
Because DJ needs to understand that he was just dead at all positions of that game, and that attacking with an Oasis Bear was stupid.
Yep. So now we're going to see red-green monsters versus mono-green Stompy. So we're going to have a little bit of a game of these two mid-rangey esque green-based decks here. Now, I'm just going to do a quick look at both of them here. And we see that in Ricky's deck, he has access to the 3 Galtas. He has 3 5-drop Planeswalkers. He has the Virtuous Gearhulks, the Ronuses.
He has a lot of cards that are very, very powerful for this type of matchup.
Yes. And then when we pull it over to the green-red side, we see that for his kind of later game, he doesn't really have as much. He has the Galtas.
He has 3 Galtas, but he goes a little bit closer to the mid-game with cards like Ripjaw Raptor and Regisar Alpha, which are definitely very powerful cards and very swingy. Regisar Alpha into Galta specifically being a massive swing in the favor of what Jake can do in this matchup, but Ricky's just on average going to have the larger boards. Virtuous Gearhulk, Ronus, all these cards are just massive and have gigantically important effects in these type of mirrors.
Yeah.
I mean, you saw Ronus being a 1/2 of in the Teamer Energy decks just because of how good it was in the mirror, to the point to where people were playing Confiscation Queue at one point specifically to take opposing Ronuses.
Yeah. So one other thing of note is that the Planeswalker numbers from Ricky's deck are swapped in the green-red monsters deck. He's playing 2 Vivian Reeds, and then instead of having the one of Planeswalker, he has the Sky Sovereign, and Sky Sovereign's pretty good here as well.
Sky Sovereign is a huge plus towards Jake's side, but with Sky Sovereign being a plus versus on Ricky's side, you see Ronus and Virtuous Gearhulk and Galta being his top end. Well, the opponents on Sky Sovereign and just Galta, you're going to see, I think, the balance tipped just slightly in Ricky's favor.
Yeah. So I'm going to go and transition to, because I don't think there's much more talk about the decks here.
You see Ricky here just trying to figure out how the hell a sideboard works.
Yeah, trying to unsideboard himself. And once they get started, I'll restart that timer here. But either way, I think this should be an interesting matchup. We might end up seeing another game where we have a little bit of a board stall going on. But
we have another week where we're ending a bit early, too.
Yeah.
Looks like.
No, that's to be expected, considering we only had 5 rounds this week. But next week, I believe we're going to be back to the full 6, and we're going to be bringing you, as opposed to like these a little bit more cute decks, we're going to have more resources to work off of, and we're going to be trying to bring some type of competitive deck, or at least more competitive than we've seen tonight. Not to say that all these decks haven't been competitive. I actually think Kirby's deck has some potential.
I think that the slide deck has always just been like right on the brink. We actually saw, I believe, 1 or 2 teams brought it to the Pro Tour.
Yeah, it's not a bad deck, and the green-based decks, like the ones we're seeing on both sides of the table here, also have potential here. So it's not like everything we've seen tonight is suboptimal. It's just next week we should see something a little more streamlined. And
I definitely think like the mono green deck is also a deck that we know is a competitive deck.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I believe the bear is the only thing that we're really testing out here. And I'm not a huge fan of some of the choices that he's making, like still playing the Branch Walker in Chain Wheeler's Town.
Yeah. So he's trying out the Vivian Reed, which I'm not sold for in this deck, and he's trying out the Gore Claws, which I think has potential, but also not sold on. Though one neat thing is being able to cast a 1-mana Ronus is cool. So, so they're gonna start here in a moment. I'm just going to start the timer.
Mm-hmm. So, we did do a lot of talking on the premise of which side we think has that favor. So, I think that the mono green has just that slight edge. I think it's like a 60-40 matchup.
Yeah, I think it's one of those matchups where when you the phrase 60-40 gets thrown out a lot, where it's a matchup where if you sit down across from it, you're not happy about it, but you can still pull it out. And it may not even be that hard to pull out, as it's very possible for Ricky to see the wrong half of his deck, or for Jake to see the right part of his deck for the situation.
Absolutely, and here we see a hand from Ricky of triple Galta, Rishkar, double land.
You had a mulligan at triple Galta.
Okay.
That.
But what if your other 4 cards are just that good? I don't think there's ever 4 cards that are that good.
I don't think there are. Like 2 forest and then like, I don't know, some creature.
Ricky's happy with it. On the play too.
That's ballsy.
Jake here going to go ahead and lead on a Rootbound Crag, passing back to Ricky. What does Ricky find? Finds another forest. Okay, that makes it a little bit easier. There's a Merfolk Branchwalker, and on top of the deck is another forest. Okay.
Okay, so he has no issues with mana for now.
He has triple Galta. And that Branchwalker is going to get a counter regardless of the Explorer. Rishkar going to make sure of it. Does he have a Galta on turn 4 at least?
He might have a Galta on turn 4. So if he plays a Rishkar, he'll have...
Okay, he's just going to go ahead and go for the Steel Leaf Champion. So Steel Leaf Champion plus that is worth 7 points of power. That means that on a land 4, he's still 1 short of Galta.
With Rishkar, he has Galta, though.
Yeah, with Rishkar, he would have Galta. So Rishkar makes it to where there's 6 points of power in play and plus 6 points of mana from the lands and the 2 creatures. Yep. So he had access to a Galta, but here he's going to go for a little bit more patient. You see a field ruin the land here, and it looks like another Merfolk Branchwalker pickup. So what I would like to see here from Ricky is a Rishkar, putting a counter on both the Rishkar and the Branchwalker, and then you can tap the Branchwalker to play the other one. Oh no, wait!
No,
Rishkar lets him do a Galta.
Yeah, you just play the Galta.
Why would you play the Galta? Galta's not even that good.
Yeah. So I think Ricky's trying to figure out the math here, and
also importantly, Jake missed a land.
That is important. Also, I feel like if Ricky does the Galta play, he can't lose.
Even if the Galta gets removed somehow from some magical world, he has 2 more.
Yeah, like I do not think he can possibly lose if he plays at 4 mana 12, turn 4 12.
And there is the Galta, and I would be surprised if this game goes on much longer. Jake Sand 2, Ripjaw Raptors, multiple Regisaur Alphas, and a Blossoming Defense. While they are powerful cards, they are not that powerful in face of the Elder Dinosaur.
Yeah, and
here comes 5 damage from the Steel Leaf Champion. What Jake is thinking here is about a Blossoming Defense on his Servant of the Conduit to let it trade.
I don't know that Jake's thinking about the game anymore. I think he's just kind of like, wow.
He's contemplating being alive.
Why am I here right now?
Why did I decide to come to these idiots' stream?
I came here to have a good time. Now my opponent's shoving this 5-4 into a 12-12.
Jake lost to Goblins, right?
I think so.
Yeah, so like, welcome to the stream, Jake. This is where you just get like absolutely eaten alive by your opponents.
Yeah. I mean, at least it's not like you're not drawing like Josh or Ricky. Ricky's actually drawing okay right now.
Yeah.
At least
after this game, your opponent's not going to sideboard in 8 different piles.
Fair. All right. So
Ooh, Voltaic Brawler, huh?
Jake's sticking around.
I don't know why.
He's trying to make.
He wants his screen time. Okay, so Ricky picked up a
Vivian Reed.
Vivian Reed.
He has to
give that one a Vivian
card.
Reed, huh?
Yeah.
Fingers through the 2 Galtas and the don't remember exactly what the last card in the hand is, but who cares anymore?
All right, so.
Oh, it's a Branchwalker there. All right.
I mean, like, I don't know, man, Ricky. Just like
attack with Galta.
Just attack all.
Galta. Turn it.
Like,
Turn.
I think you just take your board and just turn it sideways. You take the table and you turn it sideways.
I would not do that. Take the playmat, turn the whole playmat sideways.
You take the camera. All right.
Josh here in the chat looks like he's trying to defend a 13-pile system. If it was 15 piles, that at least makes sense.
Oh, wow. 13's is a lucky number. Makes sense. All right.
Steelers champion and Galta going to go ahead and get in the red zone here. Jake has the decision to make on how he wants to die.
Yep. Ricky making the more conservative attack here. Not
You think it's necessary?
No.
He wants to be safe.
Like, what are you worried about?
You know.
No, I don't actually.
Is there
That's what I'm
instant
asking.
speed death touch effect?
There's a black one that I can think of.
He could cast it. There's a servant of the conduit. This guy could be on 4-color monsters.
Okay, then. Sure.
Playing that card.
Instead, he's going to do this. He's going to block. Now...
Yep, the Blossoming Defense block here. Got a 12 points of damage to Jake. Falls down to 3.
And now he's just kind of living on a hope and a prayer here.
I still don't know what the hope or the prayer is for.
Nor do I.
Maybe he plays Evacuation.
Evacuation would be mono decent here. He could, if he had left his servant untapped, he could possibly be playing Settle the Wreckage. Which wouldn't really matter, because then Ricky just rebuilds to having another.
Field of Ruin going to take care of the Rootbound Crag, because, you know.
Actually, that's a good play from Ricky's side. It's limiting the resources that Jake has even more. And that's a good thing to be doing right now.
No, I agree with it. Someone doesn't know how Field of Ruin works. There we go. Oh, never mind.
Oh, he's getting that mountain. Which constricts his mob green mana, but, like...
He still has a line of werewolves.
Yeah, he has 2 green mana, and, like, casting a Still Leaf Champion doesn't do a ton for you. Casting anything short of your own Galta doesn't do a ton for you.
You think he can do that?
He can't.
Well, look at his board. He's got 4 power.
He's basically there, but, like...
If he attacks and the little tank brawler survives, he has 5 power.
Ricky just, like...
Ooh, he drew his own Vivian Reed.
Heck yeah. Nah,
He's gonna pass, huh?
He's dead.
You got to keep appearances up.
It's a lot of joking around here, but, like, when this type of thing happens, you just kind of have to joke about it. It's
Ricky
like...
gonna play more spells. All right, we're gonna see Galta turn in the red zone, and Jake gonna go ahead and fall to Mono Green Stompy in the first game. Kind of in just what I was saying, that on average Ricky's side of the board is going to have a slightly more powerful time, but
Slightly.
also, I mean, that was in part to the fact that Jake fell behind.
Yeah, I'm joking. That game was slightly different than we were saying. We were more expecting to be a little closer.
I expect this game on average to be, I play a man, you play a man. Sometimes mine gets better than yours.
Yeah, I do feel like if either deck can play a pre-turn 5 Galta, they are going to be heavily favored.
Unless the opponent also has one.
Yes, if only one person has a Galta, the person with Galta is favored.
Yes.
All right, so we're gonna just look at green-red monsters here. So, boy, all right, they have access to this. Do they want the second Sky Sovereign here?
Probably.
Probably do.
It's one of the more powerful effects. While there aren't a ton of creatures that it can favorably interact with from Ricky's side, you see that it can take care of Land Royals, Merfolk Branchwalker, Jade Light Ranger, the Planeswalkers if they're still there.
Yep.
Goreclaw and Rishkar are the cards that Sky Sovereign can effectively handle.
Yep.
But most importantly, Sky Sovereign cannot be blocked by any creature that Ricky has other than Heart of Karan.
Yes. A Braid also being good as it kills a large number of the creatures in Ricky's deck because of the 3 damage, but also can kill the Verdurous Gearhulk and the Heart of Kurans. So that feels not bad, and if he's trying to play more of a mid-range game, I could see something like Lifecrafter's Bestiary.
One thing that I found, at least in like the Constrictor mirrors, is that you do want Lifecrafters Bestiary because it gets you ahead in those games because those games go late. It is a lot of back and forth of the creatures and that kind of thing. Well, this isn't a straight mirror. You do have the want to be able to trade resources back and forth, but you can't ever fall behind.
Yes.
And Lifecrafters Bestiary, when it comes down, is a card that you will fall behind early on, and that's reason alone, in my opinion, to not play it.
Yeah. So, all right. Anything? What do we not like from the main board, though?
As far as the main deck goes, cards that I'm not a fan of are Voltaic Brawler.
Voltaic Brawler not getting a lot of damage in here.
Not at all.
Do you like keeping the full 4 Blossoming Defenses in here?
I suppose we would probably want to cut blossoming defenses before we cut the brawlers because power towards Galta matters.
Yeah.
So I would anticipate the cards that we're looking at bringing in here. Was it Struggle, Survive, and Sky Sovereign?
Struggle, Survive, Sky Sovereign, Abrade, and then, yeah.
All right, so yeah, I would assume to see the Struggle, Survive, the Sky Sovereign, and the double Abrade in for the 4 blossoming defenses, actually, or potentially the Vivian Reeds even.
Yeah, that's reasonable. And then from the Ricky side.
From Ricky's side, I would anticipate to see his Thrashing Brontodons come into the deck. They have ability to just be a powerful card. You don't need some of your bridging the gap. I don't love Heart of Quran in this matchup. I don't love the Planeswalkers at all.
Yep.
So I think that 3 Thrashing Brontodons coming in, and the Nature's Way are actually going to be a powerful way for him to be able to remove the opposing creatures.
Yep.
As his creatures are either going to be equally statted or slightly larger than his opponents, and being able to just take care of it for free and also have a Vigilance Trample creature is going to matter quite a lot. So you see those 2 coming in, the 3 Brontodons, and I suppose you can keep in the Vivian Reed as potential protection from some weird vehicle.
Yeah, or even just like kind of using its uptick for some amount of value. But I think that we're good to go and transition over to their match and wait for them to finish shuffling and then see how this matchup ends up wrapping up.
You guys are good to go when you're ready. He yelled at me. I don't appreciate it.
I'm fine with it. I'm used to it, just people yelling whenever you say things in the mic.
This is the first time I've done the mic, and I don't like it. They're mean to me, Nathaniel.
You don't have Sean here. Sean will yell many things at you.
All right, so we see both players getting ready, and Jake's going to be on the draw or on the play here, and I definitely think that play draw matters a lot in this type of matchup. In your Landawar Elves Mirror, the first person that gets to get that advantage is heavily going to push themselves forward. But it looks like another hand from Jake that involves multiple Rootbound Crags.
Jake's deck just not really cooperating with him here tonight.
We have seen a lot of these land-based configurations that have just been kind of awkward. Jake's deck is on 8 check lands and 6 forests. Okay, so there is the Shelter Thicket and the Mountain. Okay, so there is an equal amount of lands to check lands in the deck, but it is just slightly awkward. And here we see a Voltaic Brawler coming down from him on the play here.
I do have to wonder if having the 4 Hinterland Harbors, if they're affecting your mana base, is worth the sideboard slots.
So usually when you see that type of thing, it's off of a card like Botanical Sanctum more often than Hinterland Harbor.
Yes.
But I suppose when your deck is full of 4s, you don't want your land 4 to potentially come into play untapped.
Yeah.
Or tapped, rather. But yeah, Negate is a powerful effect for this type of deck, but I'm not sure it's a necessary effect.
Yeah, that's where I'm kind of at right now. Now, seeing from Ricky, he's starting on turn 3. Now, provided since he didn't mulligan, it kind of leads me to believe that his hand has a little bit of a higher curve.
It has to be heavy, and I have to assume that this Heart of Quran is not good enough for the rest of the hand.
Oh no, I'm not a fan of the Heart of Huron.
Ricky is thinking hard on it though. He's happy with it.
Okay, I have to wonder how his hands lined up right now if he wants to keep the Heart of Huron on top.
Another energy here for Jake, and it looks like probably a Ripjaw Raptor probably going to come down this turn. Energy going to go into the Voltaic Brawler looking for a swing of 7 more points of damage across to Ricky. And this is kind of what I'm talking about, like cards like, say, Lifecrafters or Bestiary, while they have the ability to be very powerful in this type of matchup, the moment you start falling behind in this matchup, you're going to lose. And here we see Ricky falling down to 9 already, and there's a Ripjaw Raptor, and just everything on Jake's side of the board matters a ton for what Ricky's trying to do.
Yeah, I think Ricky's going to have a hard time getting himself back into this game from this point.
And if he's just playing a Rishkar here, I can't imagine the Heart of Quran was good enough.
Yeah. I don't like the Heart of Huron here.
Especially in the face of a Thrashing Brontodon.
Yeah, because at worst, I mean, at best, it's trading with a Thrashing Brontodon in 1 mana. And I don't think that's where you want to be.
There is 5 mana from Jake. That's going to be the Regisar Alpha. That's going to lead to quite the Alpha strike here.
Yeah. So he attacks all in. Ricky can kill off the Ripjaw Raptor and a Brawler. He can kill off the Ripjaw Raptor and the 3/4 here by trading off his Branch Walker. He'll end up taking 6 damage, 7 damage if the Brawler is pumped, putting him down to 2 life. And leaving only 1 creature on Ricky's side and 2 creatures on the opponent's
It
side.
looks like Brawler is not getting a pump, so we're going to see a Blossoming Defense here on the Jade Light Ranger, which is going to make it have a more favorable block against the Thrashing Brontodon here.
Now,
But it looks like Ronus is going to go in front of a Voltaic Brawler instead of a Ripjaw Raptor.
I think that's incorrect. I think
Absolutely.
that you need to snap that Ripjaw Raptor off.
I'm wondering here if Ricky is going to miss sequences blocks and block in front of the Ripjaw Raptor on the Jade Light Ranger instead of Ronus in front of it.
I really hope he doesn't. So, if he blocks this way, he's taking 7 damage. Okay, so I don't know why he's not blocking the Ripjaw Raptor as much.
Yeah, blocking the Voltaic Brawler instead of the Ripjaw Raptor is definitely kind of an awkward situation here. Voltaic Brawler has already done kind of its thing, and Jake's going to fall down to just 2 creatures in play, or 3 creatures in play, but Ricky's going to fall down to 2 from this exchange. And he's going to pick up another card, but I can't imagine that he has all that much power to do for this board.
Yeah. Now, normally it won't be that big of an issue for him to like try to gum up this board, but he does have to worry about any other dinosaurs in Jake's hand because Jake does have Red Star Alpha and played.
And I mean, if there's just like a Galta here, it's just going to be absolute game over when he could have potentially fought against a Galta, assuming that card like Registar Alpha wasn't in play. Here is a Still Leaf Champion and a Heart of Quran. Okay, so this is Ricky's attempt to stay in this game, but this current board state means any dinosaur from Jake is lethal.
Yes. And that's not a great position for
And I
Ricky
don't
being.
think even if Ricky did block properly last turn that it would have actually mattered because there is Galta.
Yeah, no.
And there is a Thrashing Brontodon in the hand from Jake as well. So he has plenty of damage to come across. So even though there was a misplay from Ricky's side, there's no real reason to pay all that much attention to it, as Ricky here is going to do some pointless math.
Now, Jake kind of being like, oh yeah, how do you like the Galta now? After losing to a turn 4 Galta last game.
Turn 6 Galta, not as powerful.
Not as powerful, but turn 6 Galta with haste.
It's much more powerful. It's like a turn 5 Galta.
It's like a turn 5 Galta. Alright, so looks like we're going to be all tied up here and bring it to game 3.
Almost have all of our matches except for Kirby's gone to 3.
I think so.
Yep.
Kirby just doesn't have time for 3 games.
He's not interested.
He just wants to kind of like pick up his match slip, go eat some food, whatever you do, and just be done with it.
That was my favorite thing about like a lot of the different decks that I've played in my history. Is just being able to, stand up.
Yeah, no, I pretty much every time I go to a tournament, like, I'm going to go to have like 10 minutes after every game I finish today. I'm not going to eat. I'm going to
I hope one of my friends is willing to get you food.
I just kind of like am always miserable at events, and it's fine. I've accepted it.
At events, I get to watch all of my friends play because I'm usually on some form of mountains.
I'm on usually some type of islands, so except for in Legacy, I'm pretty slow.
SCG Con, I think, was the first time where I've actually had to sit down for the majority of my round in all of them, because not just Modern and Standard where I was playing a sort of blue-white control decks, but in Pauper I was playing red-white, and that deck, while there's a red-white deck, is actually the slowest deck in the format that isn't Tron.
To be fair, speaking as someone who's played a lot of Pauper on Moto, even in fast, aside from mono red, you're kind of sitting down for a decent little bit most times in Pauper.
No, that's one
That's
one thing I enjoy about the format is just all the back and forth from it. But I mean, I could do that all day. But generally, most of the large events that I've played in, I've played with decks like red-white aggro or dredge or just these decks that usually just completely overrun your opponent or you die.
Yeah. All right, so they'll take care of the life totals. It's fine. They'll figure it out.
No, Ricky starts at 2.
So it's 2. I think that does put him in slightly unfavored position.
Just a slightly unfavored position? Do you think it turns the 60-40 into maybe like a 55-45?
Yeah, it brings that 5% down.
All right, so we're going to go ahead and see both players getting ready here for Game 3. Ricky's going to be on the play. And with Ricky on the play here, I definitely find him at that advantage just because of how much that play draw does matter in this type of matchup. I think if Ricky was on the play for the last game, he might have actually had more of a chance.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I think that just being able to be the first person to start presenting things on the board goes a long way.
This one Field of Ruin has shown up every single game for Ricky. That's how it works with one of lands, right? They're
Okay.
always in your hand.
I guess.
Turn 1 Land Royals here from Ricky on the play, though, is definitely big game, and another game where Jake just starts on Rootbound Crag. If Ricky has a powerful 3-drop here... There it is. The attack for 1. The almighty Llanowar Elf beat down. But there's a second one, though, which means a 5-drop can come down on 3.
Now, if Ricky is... It looks like he has a Nissa here, and Nissa looking pretty pretty strong, actually.
But Nissa is his last card here. Let's go ahead and take a look at Nissa Vital Force here, because he has the ability to protect it with a land plus a Blossoming Defense in hand. So Nissa +1 and then pass means that this Nissa is going to be able to stick around for at least a turn cycle. And if I'm correct, and I am, this is the Nissa that sticking around for 1 turn cycle matters a lot, but Ricky is not willing to run it out.
I think that you should just run out there. Like, there's no real way that you get punished.
How does your opponent beat a 5/5 in combat? With
Yes.
a 5/5 in combat while you have
Blossoming
a Blossoming Defense. And then you can just emblem it.
Yeah.
The moment you emblem this Nissa, you just get that incremental value. And one of the ways that you can win this type of matchup is with the Life Pastor Bestiary effect. And Nissa Vital Force means that all of your lands just are free new cards.
Yes. I cannot make out what Ricky picked up.
I think we picked up a Deathcap Scavenger. Here we're just going to go for 5 mana, and now we're going to play the Nissa?
And that tapping is really weird.
And then he's not even untapping a land?
I bet he doesn't know Nissa untaps it.
Come on, Ricky.
That's the best guess I have.
I don't know. There's no 6th round just because of this. We could do an encore round, but I'm dead.
Yeah. So, obviously, had he played it slightly... If he played the Nissa last turn, it would have been safe. At worst, it's taking 3 damage. Whatever. 4 damage. Whatever, you can live with that.
And now on this turn, Jake gets access to more action. He gets to play Registrar Alpha here and attack with multiple creatures into the Nissa if he would like to, although one of the creatures will get eaten by the Nissa land, and Nissa will stick around. So Nissa is still a powerful card here.
Yep.
So it's just going to go pass back to Ricky, and I really want to see an emblem.
So...
Is that Galta? Okay, maybe I want something else.
Yeah, you want to uptick this Nissa here and make a land, play that Galta. You want to tap the land.
I want to tap a
mana.
land first.
Yep, and then untap it.
Or
don't do that. It's fine.
all right, so now we have access to 7 power. 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So we can leave the 5/5 in the Galta up.
Yep. And had you fled at mana,
You could leave the Llanowar Elves up as well.
Yeah.
But all right, we can go ahead and
Oh,
hold
yeah.
Nissa off the screen there.
I
Just go
forgot
back
that
to
that's
the
a
feature.
thing that I have to do.
We'll get there.
All right. So, Ricky here in the tank. I think that the play is pretty straightforward here. It's Galta and Hope.
Yeah, Galta is just the most powerful thing that you can do. So there's 2, 5, so we have access to 9, 10, 11. So we have 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. All right, so we could have a Llanowar Elves up, but instead we're going to keep this Oasis up. You know, this guy gets it.
So, not a big fan of leaving up the Oasis because you also have the ability to leave up a forest as opposed to the Oasis, or you can leave up the 1/1. There is a reason not to leave up the Llanowar Elves, but I certainly don't like leaving up specifically the Oasis.
You probably want to keep Llanowar Elves up because it's blocker.
Yes.
You should at least keep a non-painful green source up because there's no reason not to. There's another Registrar Alpha, and Registrar Alpha in multiples is a very, very powerful thing.
Yep. Now, if he all-out attacks here, Ricky can block the 2 Registrar Alphas, and then he'll take 10 damage. But that will leave Jake's board looking kind of weak.
And if he does that, everything has to go at Nissa because he just has lethal on the swing back.
Yeah.
Because of Hash Up Oasis and the Llanowar Elves. So we're in kind of a stalemate situation, and again, this is where this following turn, now that the Galta's in play, assuming we have lands in hand, I kind of want to see an emblem. But in this situation, I would not because of the fact that there aren't lands in hand. But starting to gain that advantage and moving through will put Ricky far enough ahead, I believe.
Yeah. Now, Ricky does have to start figuring out how he's going to work through this, because even though he has the 12-12 trample in play, that's not that great when your opponent can kill you on the crackback if you attack with it. And as a blocker, it still can only block one creature.
Absolutely. There is a very threatening board state from Jake's side at the moment.
And Jake playing it very patient here. He's not making any attacks to get in little chunks of damage. He's trying to hold up to the point that he can get in a lethal attack, or have an attack that deals enough damage and leaves him with enough of a board.
Mm-hmm. We're definitely just in a very, very awkward situation here.
And I believe that, going back to that, I think that Jake's going to have that turn next turn.
The Alpha Strike turn?
Yeah.
He has a Thrashing Brontodon in hand, which also has haste, and then I believe there are multiple Blossoming Defenses.
Multiple Blossoming Defenses, and because of his 2 mounted orcs, he can cast them both, as well as the Dinosaur.
So Branchwalker finds a land. Looks like Ricky going for another pair of mana. Potentially another Branchwalker.
Yep, just another
Jeez, I
Branchwalker.
hate Merfolk Branchwalker.
Card, not at its best here. Heart of Huron, I
don't want it. It's so bad.
I mean, it is a 2-mana 4/4 right now.
Get that little tiny die out of there. Who gave him that?
I don't... Oh, it was in the thing.
Who gave him that?
It was in the thing. I don't know how it got in the thing, but I keep grabbing it when I'm, like, the past couple times I've been down there, I'm like, why is there a tiny die in here? But then I never do anything about it.
Ricky really thinking about this Heart of Quran.
So, he hasn't played a land yet, and he has a land in hand. So he could theoretically Ultimate Nissa, play a land, pick up the Heart of Huron, play the Heart of Huron, and then have it possibly crewed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, just bending it in almost all situations is generally going to be the better line. Ricky thinking a lot about this line.
Ricky doing some intense math here, and I have to wonder what exactly he's thinking about. There was, in his defense, there's a lot going on right now.
There is. And this is the one of the biggest things about these creature mirrors is that they require a ton of play skill, because combat math is a huge factor to it.
Yep.
And understanding what your opponent is likely to do in any situation is one of the biggest things that matters for this type of matchup.
Oh yeah, for sure. So...
Heart of Quran going to stay on top, and this is going to tick up to untap, or take the one untapped forest and make it a creature.
Heck.
Galta comes in.
Alright, so Ricky deciding that he would rather try to get in that damage than hold up that one additional blocker here. And that might actually be correct here.
Are you trying to kill it if you're Jake?
You might be. It's a risky play because your opponent does have some amount of green mana open. So if you throw in exactly 12, you're leaving yourself open to getting blown out by a Blossoming Defense.
He's currently looking at blocking with 13.
And that has the same problem as 12.
Mm-hmm. So if this block, that means he gets a 1 for 4, and it's not even the one he wants to get. So he needs to put Regisaur, double Dinosaur in front to guarantee a kill and play around Blossoming Defense.
Yep.
So there's Regisaur Voltaic Brawler, Dinosaur. Is that the block that we're submitting?
Now,
all right, and that is only worth 12 points of power, and that makes Galta a 14-14.
I think that's a game-ending play for Ricky's side.
Absolutely.
I think that Jake should have just eaten it.
Jake should take 2 here, not 3, or not 1, but it's illegal for Ricky to misapply his trample damage.
Yeah. So, going back to it, I think that just from Ricky's side, from Jake's side, he's fine taking that 12 damage going down to 6. There's no way that Ricky kills him, and there's a decent chance that you have lethal on the following turn.
Absolutely. I definitely do not like that block at all. Because let's just say like a Galta came off the top of Jake's deck. Galta plus Thrashing Brontodon is a huge swing, and even if not, it pretty much completely stonewalls what Ricky's doing.
Yeah, and also the fact that if you're going to make that block, I would put 14 power as opposed to 13 power.
Yes. All right, so we see 2 mana here getting tapped. There is another Voltaic Brawler going to bring Jake up to 3 energy.
And now Jake can tap down his 2 Mono Dorks to throw down this Brontodon, or he can hold up his 2 blocking defenses, and it looks like he's going to choose to hold up the Blossoming Defenses. But I think that we're just going to see another game where the person with the Galta in play wins the game.
Mm-hmm. Galta is very obviously the most important card in this matchup. Ricky here, Heart of Quran and a Forest as his cards in hand. Access to Nissa still. That land is no longer a 5/5, but it still is up in the front row. And just overall, just a massive board presence advantage. He does have access to a Hash-Up Oasis in the land base too, which threatens to make Galta a 15-15.
Yep, he can certainly swing this game, and I think that he wants to just kind of put as much pressure on Jake's side as possible, especially considering the fact that Jake doesn't have many creatures with a large amount of toughness, so he can't really properly block his Branch Walkers except for with his Registrar Alpha.
This is going to go ahead and make an emblem this turn, so Force is going to go ahead and come into play, and judging not just by seeing what Ricky drew, but also knowing how Ricky is as a person and the way that he kind of responded to that, he definitely drew another Forest.
So that die shouldn't be on the forest, right?
Correct.
Should we,
the Forest is not out. There we go.
There we go.
Of course, the moment I go to say something, right?
Like, we could have waited, but at the same time, it had been a good little bit. He, like, ultimate his Planeswalker. We were doing things. He didn't want him to, like, attack and it'd be awkward for him.
Yeah, so, okay. If we hash up Oasis, Galta, and just attack with Galta, Jake can just accept.
The 15 points of damage?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like, at this point, he has to consider exactly what his out is, and I don't think that his out involves him trying to stop any amount of damage from the opposing side.
So here we see that pump happen to Galta. Galta is now a 15-15. 2 cards in hand. It is Force and Heart of Karan. Galta going to come into the red zone. I would not expect anything else, though, as everything else would just get eaten by something. So, yep, there is 15 points. I would assume Jake's going to go to 2 from this exchange.
Yeah, I don't think he has a lot of options because right now, if you're on Jake's side, you need to think to yourself, how am I winning this game? How am I getting out of this position? I think his only way of getting out of this game right now is to have his own Galta and then have enough of a board to back that up.
So Jake has the potential to kill the Galta this turn. Blossoming Defense and a Braid.
Oh, he has an Abrade in hand.
So he currently has 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 points of power in play.
Okay, then.
The Blossoming Defense will give another +2. Jake will take 3, 4. No, so he has 12 points of power, but I believe only 11 points of toughness. So Jake will take 1 or 3 rather.
All right, but then follow-up question for you. You just used 2 of the last 4 cards in your hand, your entire board.
It's just 6 permanents.
Your opponent still has 4 creatures in play.
It's just 6.
How are you winning?
It's just 6 cards.
Okay.
You also have no mana. You'll be down to 3 mana. Your opponent still has a Nissa. But how are you winning if you don't make this play?
Your own Galta. Like, that's it.
Is your own Galta good enough?
It blocks the other
So
Galta.
your own Galta.
Your own Galta blocks the opposing Galta, and then the rest of your board is equal to the opponent's board.
This block is not good enough.
This block is...
You need the Lana Royals in there too. Okay, this is only 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and it can only be increased by 6.
I think that your option is to either go all in on it or to not go in at all.
Yeah, you have to assess the losses here. You have to say, if I lose 6 cards, can I potentially win, and what do I win if I don't lose 6 cards? As you mentioned, Galta is the primary way that he can win if he loses his entire board.
It's not even guaranteed win, but it's the only way you have to deal with the opposing Galta.
So yeah, we're going to see this line, all the creatures blocking Galta, and we're going to see the Abrade on Galta plus the Blossoming Defense, meaning Jake should take a total of, I believe, 4, as he has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 toughness. Yep, so Jake should take 4, and Galta should take 15.
Okay. So you trade off all that to kill the Galta, and now you're just kind of hoping.
If he draws a Sweltering Suns that is not in his 75.
So I'm gonna just like look at his list real quick here, because I have to wonder exactly what his plan is. Also, there we go. All right, so where is he? He's there. So like, he doesn't have anything super amazing once he loses his entire board to draw.
Not at all.
I think his best draw would be a Thrashing Brontodon.
I think they're going over the situation here.
We could tell him, but no, they'll figure out. They'll figure out.
I'm trying to figure out how much damage should be going to Jake. I believe Jake is properly at 12 as he was at 17 the last exchange. Yep. They all figured it out. Jake should be down to 12 or 13. Yeah, he was at 17. He should be taking 4.
Yep. And now...
There's the Heart of Quran.
which is actually not terrible here. Now
Oh,
Jake
Forest.
got a Forest.
He has the Brontodon.
He has the Brontodon, and he has a Blossom Defense.
Okay, so he took a damage. Jake, so you took 1 damage.
From the desert.
Yeah. From tapping the desert for green.
Oop.
Player's trying to figure that out. This turn, Thrashing Brontodon costs 2 green mana.
Oh, man, they tried to figure it out. He could have not done that.
He could have. But here we are.
I think players forgot how to use deserts today.
Deserts are difficult.
Yeah.
I still remember that there was a Grand Prix match where on camera a player like quickly taps his mana and then like puts a spell in the stack and then goes to think about it, and his opponent just goes like, "Oh, so you tapped this desert for this color," and the judge ruled with the opponent. And I was like, "Yeah, he obviously tapped it for this color."
Oh, man.
Gotta love that type of stuff.
Not really, but...
All right, so Heart of Quran and the 5/5 Forest going to come in. Importantly, do the forests from Nissa have trample?
No.
All right, so Thrashing Brontodon can block the forest and then kill the Heart of Quran here.
Yep. It's not a great play for you because...
What you got?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
He's going to go for killing the forest here.
Kill the forest. Sure.
Take 4, fall down to
8.
8. And with using the Blossoming Defense, regardless of how Jake tapped his mana, he was going to take that damage.
Yeah.
So there is a 5th land from Jake there. Going to go ahead and pass back to Ricky, who
And...
should probably just crew this Heart of Quran with that Nissa and not the creature.
Uptick the Nissa, get a 5/5, attack with all of your creatures. And,
Did he draw a card from his Nissa trigger?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay.
He drew another land. I don't know if he realizes he has lethal yet.
I hope so. So make that a creature. Crew Heart of Quran with its alternate cost.
Yep. And then swing in for lethal. Nope.
Or
Alternatively.
we can do this and let our opponent block and shoot the Heart of Quran. Well, it wasn't lethal.
Oh, yeah, because he can...
He would go to 2.
Yeah. Okay. Whatever. So, Jake gets
Just still have these stupid 1 toughness creatures just hanging out. Ooh, Ripjaw Raptor. Is that one good enough?
No, it's like a really good card, but it's too little too late. Because now Ricky just goes for the play we mentioned last turn, and he wins the game.
Well, he doesn't win again. Because Jake's still at 8.
Yeah, but...
So if he takes up and attacks all, Jake goes to 2.
No, because he would take 4 from the Heart of Quran plus the...
Well, Heart of Quran. The Heart of Quran that died last turn.
Oh, shoot.
Okay, so Nature's Way here is going to clear the way.
Alright, so he takes lethal this turn.
But Jake draws a card.
Alright, so he takes lethal.
He could draw Fog.
He could draw Fog. He could draw Burn Spell.
I'd like to remind, welcome to Get There stream, Jake. Get bodied on camera.
Alright. Enough of that. So anyways, we had 5 matches here tonight. Got to see some interesting strategies. Got to see some decks do some neat things, and some decks just do some fast things. Got to see a lot of Galta in the last match.
Galta.
Galta's good. Galta's a big boy.
So what we kind of saw is that even if you're playing dopey mountains are just very good in Standard right now.
Yep. Mountains are very good. You get this dumb 3-drop 3/3 that has first strike and a bunch of other words that are all really good. So I think that, yeah, red is still good.
Red is still, like, obviously one of the best colors in the format, and I don't think that's going to change.
Yeah. And next week, though, I imagine we're going to be seeing
more red.
More red. Probably some out of control deck, and then, like, whatever people think is good in Standard.
Whatever Josh thinks is playable.
Josh is going to be bringing Grixis.
Yeah, he's on the Grixis deck, so we'll see some copies of Nicol Bolas.
Yeah, we'll get to see
Hopefully we'll pair him in matchups where that card is terrible.
I mean, to be fair, there aren't a ton of matchups where Nicol Bolas is terrible.
I would not love it in the mono-red matchups. To
be fair, you're right. But yeah, hopefully next week we'll get to have a fun little time and get a little glimpse of the future of Standard. And this week just kind of like saw some decks. Some decks might have some viability, and some decks might be something you want to just like bring to your local FNM, like Bant Walls. If you just want to have a fun time and like look at your opponent back, I have all these walls. And that's it.
Look at my sweet walls. All right. But once again, thank you, anyone, for coming out and joining us here at twitch.tv/mtggetthere. We want to go ahead and remind everyone that if you tuned in late today, that if you want to see some of the mono red goblins or potentially even some of the sly wizards that you might have blinked, or if for whatever reason you want to see a bunch of O4s lose the game a bunch, you can go back and watch a replay, which we are going to be starting directly after the stream today.
Yep.
For Nathaniel, I am Andrew, and good night from the basement.
Yep, and thanks for everyone who got there.